When a struggling 30-year-old woman came face to face with the ex-fiancé who shattered her world, she made a desperate choice that would change everything. One whispered plea to a stranger, one impossible lie. And suddenly, the poorest woman in the room was standing beside Chicago's most powerful billionaire. But what started as fake protection became dangerously real when neither of them wanted the night to end. If you want to see how this story unfolds, stay until the very end, hit that like button, and comment what city you're watching from so I can see how far this story travels. The glass elevator climbed 43 floors while Lily Carter clutched a manila envelope against her chest like it might protect her from what waited above. Her reflection stared back from the polished doors, wrinkled dress from a thrift store rack, hair pulled into a bun that had started falling apart 3 hours ago, makeup she'd applied in a gas station bathroom because her apartment had lost power again. She looked exactly like what she was, broke, exhausted, and completely out of place. The envelope contained a contract worth more money than she'd see in 5 years. Her boss had shoved it into her hands at 6 p.m. with zero warning. The Apex needs this tonight. Don't screw it up. The Apex, Chicago's most exclusive rooftop restaurant, where reservations required 3 months' notice and entrees cost more than her monthly rent. Where people wore designer labels she couldn't pronounce and discussed investments she couldn't comprehend. Where Ryan Holloway probably ate lunch every Tuesday. Lily's stomach twisted at the thought of her ex-fiancé. 11 months since he'd returned her engagement ring in a plastic grocery bag with a note written on the back of a receipt. You'll never fit into a successful man's future. Stop pretending. She'd cried for 2 weeks straight. Then she'd stopped crying and started working 3 jobs instead, trying to prove something to a man who'd already forgotten she existed. The elevator doors opened onto a world that didn't want her. Soft jazz drifted through air that smelled like expensive wine and fresh flowers. Floor-to-ceiling windows showcased Chicago's skyline glittering against the October darkness. Beautiful people moved between tables covered in white linen, their laughter floating above the music like they'd never worried about rent or grocery bills, or whether their car would start in the morning. Lily stepped into the restaurant and immediately wanted to disappear. A hostess approached with a smile that didn't reach her eyes. Her dress probably cost $2,000. Her perfume probably cost $500 more. Can I help you? The question sounded polite. The tone said, you don't belong here. I have a delivery for Mr. Harrison. Lily held up the envelope like a white flag. I'll just drop it off and leave. Mr. Harrison is at table 12. I'll take it to him. My boss said I needed to deliver it personally, get a signature. The hostess's smile tightened. Of course. This way. They weaved through the dining room while Lily tried to make herself smaller. She focused on the floor, counting steps, avoiding eye contact with anyone who might look at her cheap shoes or notice the coffee stain on her sleeve. Then she heard the laugh. Ryan's laugh. The same one she used to love, back when she thought it meant happiness instead of cruelty. Her head snapped up against her better judgment. There. 20 feet away at a table near the windows, Ryan Holloway sat surrounded by people who looked like they'd stepped out of a magazine spread. Designer suit, expensive watch, hair styled by someone who charged more per hour than Lily made in a week. Next to him sat a woman with perfect blonde hair and a dress that probably required its own insurance policy. He looked successful, happy. Like he'd never spent 2 years telling Lily he loved her, never promised her a future, never made her believe she was worth something before crushing that belief into dust. Ryan glanced up. Their eyes met across the restaurant. Recognition flashed across his face, followed immediately by something worse than anger or regret. Amusement. He leaned toward the blonde woman and whispered something. She looked at Lily and laughed behind her hand. The room tilted. All the air disappeared from Lily's lungs. Her hand started shaking so badly, she nearly dropped the envelope. Every insecurity Ryan had planted in her brain during their relationship came flooding back with perfect clarity. You're not sophisticated enough. You don't understand how my world works. You'd embarrass me in front of important people. And here she was, proving him right, standing in the middle of his world, wearing a wrinkled dress and shaking like a scared child. The hostess had stopped walking. Are you all right? Lily couldn't answer. She couldn't move. She couldn't breathe. Ryan stood up from his table. No, 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 no. He was walking toward her, that confident smile spreading across his face like he'd just won something. Lily's brain screamed at her to run, but her legs wouldn't cooperate. She was frozen, trapped, about to be humiliated in front of everyone. "Lily Carter," Ryan's voice carried across the quiet restaurant. What a surprise. People at nearby tables looked up. The hostess stepped back slightly, suddenly fascinated by something on her tablet. Lily forced words through her constricted throat. "I'm just making a delivery." "Of course you are." Ryan's eyes traveled down her outfit and back up, slow and deliberate. "Still working those odd jobs?" Heat flooded her face. "I have a good position at a consulting firm." "Right, consulting." He said the word like it was funny. "Jennifer, come meet someone." The blonde woman approached, her heels clicking against the floor with the confidence of someone who'd never worried about money. "This is Lily. We used to know each other." Used to know each other. Like their 2-year relationship and broken engagement meant nothing. Like she meant nothing. Jennifer extended a perfectly manicured hand. "It's nice to meet you." Lily shook it, hating how rough her own hands felt. Hands that scrubbed dishes and carried boxes and counted coins for bus fare. "Lily was just leaving," Ryan said. "Weren't you?" It wasn't a question. Lily wanted to say something cutting, something that would wipe that smug expression off his face, but her brain had gone blank with panic and shame. She opened her mouth. Nothing came out. Ryan's smile widened. Then a voice spoke from directly behind her. "There you are." The voice was male, calm, and completely unfamiliar. Lily turned. A man stood less than 3 feet away, tall, probably 6'2", wearing a charcoal suit that fit like it had been made specifically for his body. Dark hair, sharp jawline, eyes that looked almost gray in the restaurant's soft lighting. Mid-30s, maybe. Handsome in that understated way that didn't need announcing. But it was his presence that made people turn. Something about the way he carried himself, the quiet authority in his posture. The sense that he didn't need to raise his voice to command a room. He was looking directly at Lily like they knew each other. They absolutely did not know each other. "I'm sorry I'm late." The stranger stepped closer, his attention focused entirely on her face. "Have you been waiting long?" Lily's brain scrambled to process what was happening. This man, this clearly wealthy, clearly important man, was pretending to know her, in front of Ryan, in front of everyone. She should correct him, explain the mistake. But something in his eyes stopped her. A question. An offer. Play along. Ryan's confident smile had frozen in place. "I'm sorry, I didn't realize Lily was meeting someone." The stranger finally looked at Ryan, his expression polite but distant. "And you are?" "Ryan Holloway, I'm an old friend of Lily's." "Friend." The stranger repeated the word with just enough emphasis to make it sound questionable. "How nice." An awkward silence settled over their small circle. Jennifer shifted her weight. Ryan's jaw tightened. The stranger turned back to Lily, and his voice softened. "Should we get a table? I believe Harrison is waiting." He knew about the delivery. Somehow, this man knew why she was here. Lily found her voice, though it came out shakier than she wanted. "Yes, we should go." The stranger offered his arm. Lily stared at it for half a second, her mind racing through 1,000 questions. Then she slipped her hand into the crook of his elbow, feeling the expensive fabric of his suit jacket under her fingers. "It was good seeing you, Ryan," she managed. Ryan's expression had shifted into something Lily had never seen before. Confusion. Uncertainty. Doubt. "Right, you too." The stranger guided Lily away from Ryan and Jennifer, moving through the restaurant with the ease of someone who belonged everywhere. The hostess materialized beside them immediately. "Mr. Cole, your usual table is ready?" "Thank you, Maria." They walked past Ryan's table. Lily didn't look back, but she felt his eyes following them across the room. Her heart was hammering so hard she thought it might crack her ribs. Her hand was still on this stranger's arm. This stranger who had just saved her from the most humiliating moment of her life. This stranger named Cole. They reached a table in the far corner, positioned perfectly to see the entire restaurant and the city lights beyond. The hostess pulled out Lily's chair. The stranger, Mr. Cole, waited until she sat before taking his own seat. Then they were alone. Lily looked at the man across from her. Really looked at him. He was watching her with an expression she couldn't quite read. Not pity, not amusement, something closer to curiosity. "I'm sorry," he said quietly. "That was presumptuous. You looked like you needed an exit." Lily's hands were shaking again. She pressed them flat against her lap. "I don't understand. Why did you— You whispered please when I walked past. I heard you." Had she? Lily couldn't remember. Everything from the last 5 minutes felt like it had happened underwater. "I didn't mean—" She stopped, started again. "Thank you. You didn't have to do that. No one should have to stand there and be diminished by someone who clearly doesn't deserve their time." The words were matter of fact, like he was commenting on the weather. A waiter appeared with menus and water glasses. "Good evening, Mr. Cole. The usual?" "Please, and bring the lady whatever she'd like." "Oh, I'm not—" Lily started. The waiter had already disappeared. Lily looked down at the menu. The prices weren't listed, which meant they were probably astronomical. "I can't afford to eat here." "You're not paying. I can't let you pay for me. I don't even know you." "Adrian Cole." He extended his hand across the table. Lily shook it automatically. "Lily Carter." "I know, I heard your friend say it." "He's not my friend." "I gathered that as well." They sat in silence for a moment. Lily's brain was still trying to catch up with reality. This didn't make sense. Men who looked like Adrian Cole, who dressed like Adrian Cole, who had usual tables at restaurants like this, they didn't rescue random struggling women from their ex-fiancés. "Why are you really doing this?" she asked. Adrian leaned back in his chair. "Honestly, I'm not entirely sure." "That's not an answer. It's the only one I have." He studied her face. "You looked the way I feel most days, like you're drowning in a room full of people who don't notice." The observation was so accurate it hurt. Lily glanced around the restaurant. From here she could see Ryan's table. He was sitting down again, but he kept looking over. Jennifer was talking to him, but he wasn't paying attention. "My ex-fiancé," Lily said quietly. "The man I was talking to. He told me I'd never belong in a successful man's future. Said I was an embarrassment. He's an idiot." He was right. Was he? Adrian's voice stayed level. "Because from where I'm sitting, you walked into a room full of people who would have judged you regardless of what you wore or how much money you had. That's their limitation, not yours." Lily wanted to believe that. She'd spent 11 months trying to believe it. "You don't know anything about me," she said. "I know you're delivering contracts at 8 p.m. on a Thursday. I know you're working when everyone else here is playing. I know you didn't run when your ex tried to humiliate you. You froze, which is worse, which means you're braver than you think. Or just paralyzed by anxiety. Sometimes those are the same thing." The waiter returned with a bottle of wine and 2 glasses. He poured without asking, then disappeared again. Adrian picked up his glass but didn't drink. "How long were you engaged?" 2 years together, engaged for 3 months before he gave the ring back. "In a plastic bag." Lily blinked. "How did you— You mentioned it when we sat down. You said he returned it like garbage." She didn't remember saying that out loud. "He worked in finance," Lily continued. "Made good money. Introduced me to his colleagues and his family and his whole world. Then one day he decided I didn't fit anymore, said I was holding him back." "From what?" "The life he deserved." Lily picked up her own wine glass, watched the light catch in the dark liquid. "He wasn't wrong. I grew up poor in Ohio, trailer park poor. My parents worked 3 jobs between them and still couldn't make rent half the time. I came to Chicago because I thought I could be different here, be more." "And did you?" "I got a job at a consulting firm, entry level, barely above minimum wage, but it sounded impressive when Ryan asked what I did. I wore my nicest clothes and learned how to talk about things I didn't understand. Pretended I belonged at his fancy dinners and charity events." She took a sip of wine. It tasted expensive. "He saw through it eventually, realized I was just a poor girl playing dress-up. Or he was insecure and blamed you for his own inadequacies." Lily looked up sharply. Adrian's expression hadn't changed, but something in his eyes had hardened. "Men like your ex, they need someone beneath them to feel superior. The moment you started growing, started threatening that dynamic, he cut you loose. It had nothing to do with whether you belonged and everything to do with his own fear of not being enough." The words landed with unexpected weight. "You seem to know a lot about men like him," Lily said. "I've met hundreds of them, built companies with them, watched them destroy good people to protect their fragile egos." Adrian set down his wine glass. I try not to be one of them. I don't always succeed. What do you do? Technology investment, venture capital. So you're rich? Yes. At least he was honest about it. And what brings you to the Apex on a Thursday night? Lily asked. Habit. I eat here twice a week because it's close to my office and they don't bother me with small talk. He paused. Also because my daughter says they make the best hot chocolate in Chicago, so I'm obligated to verify her claim regularly. You have a daughter? Emma. She's 6. Something in Adrian's voice changed when he said his daughter's name, softened. Is she here with you? No, she's at home with her nanny. Thursday nights are the only nights I let myself leave the office before 9. That sounds lonely. Adrian looked at her for a long moment. It is. The honesty caught Lily off guard. Men like Adrian Cole, successful, powerful, surrounded by opportunities. They didn't admit to loneliness. They projected confidence and control and the illusion that they had everything figured out. But Adrian's eyes told a different story. My wife died 4 years ago, he said quietly. Car accident. Emma was 2. I've been trying to be both parents ever since, and I'm not good at either role. I'm sorry. Don't be. You didn't ask for my tragic backstory. You didn't ask for mine either, but here we are. Adrian's mouth quirked into something almost like a smile. Fair point. The waiter returned with food Lily hadn't ordered. Some kind of fish with vegetables that probably had French names. It looked beautiful and smelled incredible. They ate in comfortable silence for a few minutes. Lily hadn't realized how hungry she was until the food was in front of her. She'd skipped lunch to save money and breakfast because she'd overslept. Can I ask you something? Adrian said. Lily nodded. What were you planning to do? Before I interrupted. Deliver the contract, get Ryan's signature on the receipt, leave as quickly as possible. And if he'd kept talking to you, kept trying to make you feel small? Lily pushed food around her plate. I would have stood there and taken it, same as always. Why? Because part of me still thinks he's right. That I'm the girl from the trailer park who doesn't belong anywhere near people like you. People like me? Successful people. People who were born knowing which fork to use and how to pronounce French wine names and what to talk about at charity galas. Adrian set down his fork. I grew up in South Side Chicago. My father was a mechanic. My mother cleaned houses. We lived in a 2-bedroom apartment with my grandmother and my uncle, and sometimes random cousins who needed a place to stay. I worked at a gas station through high school and a warehouse through college. Lily stared at him. I made money because I learned to code and got lucky with timing and worked 90-hour weeks for a decade, Adrian continued. The expensive suit and the nice watch and the table at the Apex, that's all costume. Underneath, I'm still the kid who bought groceries with food stamps and wore the same pair of shoes for 3 years. You don't seem like that kid anymore. Neither do you, but we both know how to pretend, don't we? Lily didn't have an answer for that. They finished eating while the restaurant buzzed with conversation around them. Across the room, Ryan was still glancing over. His dinner companions had noticed. Jennifer kept looking between Ryan and Lily's table with obvious curiosity. He's watching you, Adrian observed. He's probably confused. He's probably regretting. Lily allowed herself a small moment of satisfaction. Good. Want to make it worse? What do you mean? Adrian stood up and walked around the table. He offered his hand. Dance with me. There's no music. There's jazz playing. That's background music. Then we'll make it foreground music. Lily looked at his extended hand. This was insane. She'd met this man 20 minutes ago. She didn't know him, didn't know his motivations or his agenda, or whether this was all some elaborate setup for a humiliation worse than Ryan could ever deliver. But his eyes were kind, and she was so tired of being afraid. Lily took his hand. Adrian pulled her gently to her feet and led her to a small space between tables. Other diners glanced over with mild interest. The jazz quartet in the corner noticed them and shifted into something slower, more intentional. Adrian's hand found the small of Lily's back. She placed her hand on his shoulder, felt the solid warmth of him beneath the expensive suit. They moved together carefully, neither of them particularly skilled, but both trying. Everyone's staring, Lily whispered. Let them. I'm a terrible dancer. So am I. Why are you doing this? Adrian looked down at her, and for the first time all night, his carefully controlled expression cracked slightly. Because I've spent 4 years going through the motions, Work, meetings, Emma's bedtime, repeat. Everything calculated, everything controlled. And then I saw you standing there looking like your world was ending. And I thought, I don't know. I thought maybe we could both use 5 minutes of something real. Lily's throat tightened. This isn't real. You're pretending to know me to save me from my ex. Am I pretending right now? He wasn't. Whatever this was, it had stopped being pretend somewhere between the wine and the confession about his daughter and the moment he'd shared his own story of being poor. They danced while the restaurant watched. Lily caught sight of Ryan in her peripheral vision. He'd stopped eating, stopped talking. He was just sitting there, staring at her with an expression she couldn't name. The song ended. Adrian stepped back but didn't let go of her hand. I should let you deliver your contract. Reality crashed back in. The envelope. Mr. Harrison. The entire reason she'd come here in the first place. Right, Lily said. Work. They returned to the table. The hostess appeared immediately with a leather portfolio containing a bill Lily couldn't see. Adrian signed it without looking at the total. Maria, can you direct Ms. Carter to Mr. Harrison's table? Of course. Lily picked up the manila envelope with shaking hands. She felt like she'd just woken up from a dream and wasn't sure which parts had been real. Thank you, she said to Adrian, for everything. You didn't have to. I know. I don't know how to repay. You don't need to. They looked at each other for a long moment. Goodbye, Adrian Cole, Lily said softly. Goodbye, Lily Carter. She turned and followed Maria through the restaurant toward a table on the opposite side. Behind her, she felt Adrian's eyes tracking her movement. She felt Ryan's eyes, too. But for the first time in 11 months, she didn't care what Ryan thought. Mr. Harrison turned out to be a friendly middle-aged man who signed the receipt without asking questions. The entire interaction took less than 2 minutes. Lily thanked him, tucked the signed document into the envelope, and headed for the elevator. She didn't look back at Adrian's table. She didn't look at Ryan's table either. She just walked straight to the elevator and pressed the button and waited while her heart hammered against her ribs. The doors opened. Lily stepped inside. As the doors began to close, she caught one final glimpse of the restaurant. Adrian was standing now, talking to someone. He glanced toward the elevator. Their eyes met for half a second. Then the doors closed, and Lily was alone in the descending elevator with her reflection and the memory of a night that shouldn't have happened. Her phone buzzed, a text from her boss. Did you get the signature? Lily looked at the envelope in her hands. Yes, good. See you tomorrow. Tomorrow. Back to reality. Back to the tiny apartment and the unpaid bills and the 3 jobs that barely covered rent. Back to being invisible. The elevator reached the ground floor. Lily stepped out into the cool Chicago night. The wind had picked up, pulling at her hair and her wrinkled dress. She started walking toward the bus stop 6 blocks away, her cheap shoes clicking against the sidewalk. Behind her, 43 floors above the city, Adrian Cole stood at a window and watched her disappear into the crowd. He didn't know why he was watching. He didn't know why he'd approached her in the first place. All he knew was that for the first time in 4 years, he'd felt something other than the crushing weight of responsibility and grief. He'd felt alive. Maria appeared at his elbow. Will there be anything else, Mr. Cole? Adrian pulled out his phone and opened his contacts. He scrolled to Tom Harrison's name and typed a message. The woman who delivered your contract tonight. I need her full name and contact information. He hesitated for a moment, then hit send. Tom responded within seconds. Lily Carter. Works for Matthews Consulting. Want me to send her employee file? Just her email address. Another pause, then, What's this about, Adrian? Adrian looked out at the city lights. I'm not sure yet. The response came back almost immediately. Be careful. You haven't shown interest in anyone since Sarah died. Don't do something reckless. Adrian typed, When have I ever done anything reckless? There's a first time for everything. Adrian put his phone away without responding. Tom was right. This was reckless. He didn't know Lily Carter. Didn't know if she was trustworthy or opportunistic or just a desperate woman who'd say yes to anything that might improve her situation. But he couldn't stop thinking about the way she'd looked at him when he'd admitted to being lonely, like she understood, like she was lonely too. Adrian collected his coat and left the Apex. His driver was waiting at the curb with the car. He climbed into the back seat and gave his home address. 20 minutes later, he walked into his penthouse apartment in Lincoln Park. The lights were dim. Classical music played softly from speakers built into the walls. His nanny, Margaret, appeared from the hallway. "Emma's asleep. She asked for you around 8, but I told her you were at an important meeting." "Thank you, Margaret. There's dinner in the fridge if you're hungry." "I ate." Margaret gathered her coat and purse. "Same time tomorrow?" "Yes." She left, and Adrian was alone in his too large apartment filled with too expensive furniture that his wife had picked out before she died. He walked down the hall to Emma's room and opened the door quietly. His daughter was asleep in her bed, surrounded by stuffed animals and picture books. She looked so small beneath the blankets, so fragile. Adrian sat on the edge of her bed and watched her breathe. This was his life, this beautiful, sleeping child who needed him to be strong and stable and present, who needed him to make good decisions and provide security and never, ever fall apart. He thought about Lily Carter standing frozen in the middle of the apex, looking like her entire world was crumbling. He thought about the way she'd felt in his arms when they danced. He thought about her walking away into the Chicago night without looking back. Adrian pulled out his phone and opened a new email. He typed Lily's email address into the recipient field. Then he sat there staring at the blank message, trying to figure out what to say. "Thank you for an interesting evening?" Too formal. "I'd like to see you again?" Too forward. "My daughter says the hot chocolate at the Apex is the best in Chicago. You should come prove her wrong." Adrian stared at the words he'd just typed. It was casual, non-threatening, an invitation without pressure. It was also completely inappropriate to send to a woman he'd met 3 hours ago under bizarre circumstances. His finger hovered over the delete button. Emma shifted in her sleep, making a small sound. Adrian looked at his daughter, then back at the email. He hit send before he could change his mind. The message disappeared from his screen. Adrian sat in Emma's dark bedroom, listening to her breathe, wondering what the hell he'd just done. 6 blocks away, Lily Carter climbed onto a mostly empty bus and collapsed into a seat near the back. Her feet hurt. Her head hurt. Her entire body felt like it had been wrung out and hung up to dry. She pulled out her phone to check the time. A new email notification appeared on her screen. No subject line. From adrian.cole@coleventures.com. Lily's heart stopped. She opened the message. "My daughter says the hot chocolate at the Apex is the best in Chicago. You should come prove her wrong." Adrian Lily read it 3 times. Then she read it again. This didn't make sense. Adrian Cole was a billionaire venture capitalist with a daughter and a life, and no possible reason to want anything to do with a struggling woman from a consulting firm who could barely afford bus fare. Unless tonight had meant something to him too. Lily's hands shook as she typed a response, then deleted it, typed another response, deleted that too. The bus lurched forward, carrying her toward her neighborhood on the south side, toward her studio apartment with the broken heater and the landlord who kept threatening eviction, toward her real life. She looked at Adrian's message one more time. Then she typed 2 words. When? She hit send before she could overthink it. The bus rattled through the dark streets while Lily sat with her phone in her lap, staring at the screen, waiting for a response that might never come. It came 30 seconds later. Thursday, 7 p.m. "I'll tell them you're coming." Lily typed, "Okay." Adrian's response was immediate. "Okay." They sat on opposite sides of Chicago, him in his penthouse with his sleeping daughter, her on a bus heading toward an apartment that barely qualified as shelter, both staring at their phones like they'd just made a decision that would change everything. Neither of them was wrong. Thursday arrived the way all impossible things arrive, too fast and not fast enough. Lily had spent 6 days alternating between excitement and terror, sometimes feeling both at once until her stomach hurt and her hands shook. She drafted and deleted 23 text messages to Adrian, each one trying to sound casual about something that felt anything but casual. In the end, she'd sent none of them. She'd also spent $200 she absolutely did not have on a dress that didn't come from a thrift store. Now she stood outside the Apex at 6:47 p.m., staring at the building's glass entrance while her courage leaked away with every passing second. The dress, a simple navy blue sheath that the saleswoman had promised was understated elegant, suddenly felt too tight. Her shoes, borrowed from her coworker after a desperate lunchtime confession, pinched her toes. She'd done her makeup 3 times, wiping it off twice before settling on something that hopefully didn't scream, trying too hard. A doorman opened the entrance. "Good evening, miss." Lily's feet wouldn't move. This was insane. She was about to walk into Chicago's most exclusive restaurant to meet a billionaire she'd spent one evening with. An evening that had only happened because she'd been too paralyzed by humiliation to function like a normal human being. What was she doing? What did Adrian want? What did she want? Her phone buzzed. "Adrian, you're standing outside. I can see you from the window." Lily looked up. 43 floors. She couldn't see anything except glass and lights. Her phone buzzed again. "Adrian, the doorman's name is Marcus. He's wondering if you're going to faint." Lily glanced at the doorman. Marcus gave her a kind smile. She typed back, "How do you know I'm not just admiring the architecture?" Adrian, "Because you've been staring at the door for 4 minutes." Adrian, "Come inside, Lily." She took a breath and walked through the entrance before her brain could offer more reasons to run. The elevator ride felt longer this time. She watched the numbers climb and tried to remember how to breathe normally. The doors opened onto the restaurant. Maria, the hostess, recognized her immediately. "Miss Carter, Mr. Cole is waiting for you." No turning back now. They walked through the dining room, less crowded on a Thursday than it had been the previous week. Lily forced herself not to search for Ryan's face among the scattered tables. He wouldn't be here. There was no reason for him to be here. Adrian's table came into view. He was standing, which surprised her. He wore a different suit, charcoal gray this time, no tie, and he looked exactly as she remembered. Tall, composed, watching her approach with an expression she still couldn't quite read. "You came," he said. "You invited me." People ignore invitations all the time. "I'm very punctual." "You're 13 minutes early." "I didn't want to be late." Adrian's mouth quirked. "I appreciate the commitment to time management." They sat. The same table as before, tucked in the corner with a view of the city and the restaurant both. A waiter materialized with water and menus. "Just water for now, David," Adrian said. "We're waiting for one more." Lily blinked. "One more?" "I wasn't lying about my daughter's hot chocolate theory. She insisted on helping you evaluate." "Your daughter is coming here?" "She's in the bathroom with Margaret. They'll be out in a moment." Panic fluttered in Lily's chest. "You didn't tell me I'd be meeting your daughter." "Would you have come if I had?" "I don't know, maybe." "No, probably not." "That's why I didn't tell you." "That's manipulative. That's strategic." "There's a difference?" Adrian leaned forward slightly. "Look, I know this is strange. Last week was strange. This invitation was strange. But Emma's been asking who I was having dinner with every night since Thursday, and I'm a terrible liar when it comes to my daughter. So I told her I'd met someone interesting, and she immediately demanded to come along tonight to investigate." Investigate? Her word, not mine. Lily didn't know what to say to that. Before she could formulate a response, movement caught her attention. A little girl appeared at the table's edge, holding the hand of an older woman who must have been Margaret. The girl had dark hair like Adrian's, pulled into 2 braids, and she wore a blue dress with white flowers. She looked at Lily with the kind of direct, unfiltered curiosity that only 6-year-olds possessed. "You're Lily," the girl announced. "I am," Lily managed. "I'm Emma. Are you my dad's girlfriend?" "Emma." Adrian's voice carried a warning. "What?" "You said you met someone interesting. You never meet anyone interesting. Margaret says that means girlfriend." Margaret, to her credit, looked completely mortified. "I said no such thing." Emma ignored her and climbed into the chair next to Lily's, studying her face with intense concentration. "You're pretty, but you look scared." "Are you scared of my dad?" "No," Lily said, though she wasn't entirely sure that was true. "Good. He's not scary. He just looks serious all the time because he thinks that's what dads are supposed to do." Emma picked up a menu that was bigger than her head. "We're here to test the hot chocolate." "Do you like hot chocolate?" "I do." "What about marshmallows?" "Marshmallows are good." "Wrong answer. Marshmallows are perfect." Emma set down the menu and looked at her father. "I like her. She can stay." Adrian's carefully controlled expression cracked into something close to amusement. I'm relieved you approve. Margaret took the chair on Emma's other side, offering Lily an apologetic smile. I'm Margaret. I help take care of this one when her father is busy being important. I'm never too busy for Emma, Adrian said. You had 14 meetings yesterday, Emma countered. 13. You came home after my bedtime. I read to you when I got home. I was asleep. That doesn't count. Adrian looked at Lily. She's 6 going on 40. I'm 6 going on 7, Emma corrected. My birthday is in 2 months. I'm having a party with a bouncy castle, and you're invited if you're still my dad's girlfriend by then. Emma, Lily is not my girlfriend. Yet, Emma added, with the confidence of someone who'd already decided how this story would end. The waiter returned, and Emma immediately launched into an elaborate order involving hot chocolate, extra marshmallows, whipped cream, and chocolate shavings. Lily ordered the same thing because she had no idea what else to do. Adrian and Margaret ordered coffee. When the waiter left, Emma turned her full attention back to Lily. So why did my dad invite you to dinner? Lily glanced at Adrian, who looked like he was trying very hard not to laugh. We met last week, Lily said carefully. Here, actually, we had a nice conversation. About what? Emma, give Lily some space to breathe, Adrian said. I'm just asking questions. You always say asking questions is how we learn things. I also say there's a time and place for everything. This is dinner. Dinner is for talking. Therefore, this is the time and place for questions. Emma looked back at Lily, triumphant. I use logic. Did you hear my logic? It was very logical, Lily agreed. Thank you. So what did you talk about? Lily searched for an answer that wouldn't require explaining the full disaster of running into her ex-fiancé. We talked about work and Chicago and hot chocolate, Adrian interjected smoothly. Lily disagreed with your assessment of the Apex having the best hot chocolate in the city. Emma's eyes widened. You did? I haven't actually tried it yet, Lily admitted, so I couldn't agree or disagree. Then tonight is very important. This is serious business. Emma folded her hands on the table like she was chairing a board meeting. What's your favorite restaurant? I don't really go to restaurants very often. Why not? Emma, Margaret said gently. Remember what we talked about? Some questions are private. Oh. Emma's face scrunched up in thought. Is that a private question? It's okay, Lily said. She looked at Emma's open, curious face and decided honesty was easier than deflection. I don't go to restaurants because they're expensive, and I don't have a lot of money. Emma processed this for a moment. My dad has a lot of money. Emma, Adrian started. He does. You're always saying we're very fortunate. That's what fortunate means, having money and a nice house and stuff. She turned to Lily. We're very fortunate. So if you want to go to restaurants, you should go with us. Then you don't have to worry about the expensive part. The logic was so simple and so devastating that Lily's throat tightened. That's very kind of you, she managed. It's not kind. It's practical. Margaret says I'm very practical. Their drinks arrived, and Emma immediately began a detailed analysis of her hot chocolate's marshmallow to chocolate ratio. Lily took a sip of her own drink and had to admit it was exceptional, rich and dark and perfectly balanced. Well, Emma demanded, what's the verdict? It's really good. But is it the best in Chicago? Lily pretended to consider this seriously. I'd need to try more places to be sure. Emma's face lit up. We should make a list. We can go to different places every week and rate them. We'll need a scoring system and a spreadsheet. Dad, can Lily come to hot chocolate testing every week? I think Lily has her own life and schedule, Adrian said, but his eyes met Lily's across the table with something that looked like hope. Do you have plans every Thursday? Emma asked Lily directly. I usually work late on Thursdays, but not every Thursday forever, right? Probably not forever. Then you should come with us on the Thursdays you're free. It's decided. Emma took another drink and got whipped cream on her nose. Margaret, did you bring the list? Margaret pulled out a small notebook from her purse. I did, but sweetheart, maybe we should... Lily needs to know the questions. It's only fair. Emma opened the notebook to a page covered in careful handwriting, adult handwriting with a child's note scribbled in the margins. These are the questions I ask all of Dad's friends. You have a questionnaire? Lily couldn't help smiling. I'm very thorough. Question 1. What's your favorite color? Blue. Emma made a note. Question 2. Do you like animals? Yes. What kind? Dogs, mostly. Good answer. We can't have a dog because Dad works too much, but I'm working on changing his mind. She glanced at Adrian, who shook his head. Emma sighed and continued. Question 3. This is important. What's your job? I work at a consulting firm. What does that mean? I help companies solve problems. What kind of problems? All kinds. Organization problems, budget problems, people problems. Do you like it? The question was so direct that Lily paused. No one ever asked if she liked her job. They asked what she did, where she worked, how long she'd been there, but not whether she actually liked it. Sometimes, Lily said honestly, it's challenging and it pays my bills. But does it make you happy? Emma, that's enough questions, Adrian said quietly. It's okay. Lily looked at Emma's serious little face. No, it doesn't make me happy. But not everything in life is about being happy. Sometimes it's just about getting through the day. Emma considered this with the gravity of someone much older. That sounds sad. Sometimes it is. Then you should find a job that makes you happy. Life's too short to be sad all the time. Margaret made a small sound that might have been a suppressed laugh. Adrian was looking at his daughter with an expression Lily couldn't name. Pride mixed with something else. Something painful. You're very wise, Lily told Emma. I know, Margaret tells me that a lot. Emma flipped to another page in her notebook. Last question, and this one is the most important. Are you nice to my dad? Lily glanced at Adrian. He was watching her carefully now, all trace of amusement gone. I try to be nice to everyone, Lily said. That's not what I asked. Emma, Adrian tried again. No, let me finish. This is important. Emma set down her hot chocolate and looked at Lily with eyes that suddenly seemed much older than 6. Lots of people are nice to my dad because he has money, or because they want something. But nobody asks him if he's okay or if he's happy or if he needs help. They just want things from him. So I need to know if you're one of those people or if you're different. The restaurant noise faded into background static. Lily felt like she'd just been handed a test she hadn't studied for, except the test wasn't about right answers. It was about true ones. I don't want anything from your dad, Lily said slowly. Last week when we met, I was having a really bad night. He helped me when he didn't have to. He was kind when everyone else was judging me, and I'm here tonight because he invited me, and because for the first time in a long time, I met someone who made me feel like maybe I wasn't completely alone in the world. Emma stared at her for a long moment. Then she nodded, satisfied. Okay, you can stay. I'm relieved, Lily said, and meant it. Emma went back to her hot chocolate, crisis apparently resolved in her 6-year-old mind. Margaret excused herself to make a phone call. Adrian and Lily sat in sudden silence, neither quite sure what to say after a child had just cut through every social pretense with surgical precision. I'm sorry about the interrogation, Adrian said finally. She's protective. She's wonderful. She's terrifying. That too. Adrian smiled, a real smile this time, not the careful one he wore like armor. She's the only thing I've done right in the last 4 years. Lily wanted to say something reassuring, but Emma interrupted by tugging on her sleeve. Lily, can I ask you one more question that's not on the list? Sure. Why were you having a bad night when you met my dad? Lily hesitated. Emma was 6. How much truth could you give a 6-year-old? But Emma's eyes were patient and knowing, and Lily realized this child had probably heard more difficult truths than most adults. I ran into someone who used to be important to me, Lily said, someone who hurt my feelings, and seeing him reminded me of all the ways I'm not good enough. That's dumb, Emma said flatly. Emma, Adrian warned. No, I mean it. That's a dumb thing to think. You seem plenty good enough to me. She paused, then added with devastating simplicity, people who make you feel bad about yourself are wrong. Margaret tells me that when kids at school are mean, she says their meanness is about them, not about me. Margaret is right. She usually is. She's very smart. Emma finished her hot chocolate and set down the cup with exaggerated care. I have to go to the bathroom again. All this hot chocolate goes right through me. She climbed down from her chair and headed toward the restrooms without waiting for permission. Margaret, who'd returned from her phone call, followed at a more sedate pace. And then Lily and Adrian were alone. The silence stretched between them, full of things neither knew how to say. "Your daughter is remarkable," Lily said finally. "She's blunt. She's honest. There's a difference." "Is there?" "Blunt is saying whatever you think. Honest is saying what's true even when it's hard." Lily traced the rim of her hot chocolate cup. "She asked me if your job makes you happy." "I heard." "What would you have answered?" Adrian looked out at the city lights beyond the windows. "I would have said the same thing you did, that it's not about happiness, that it's about responsibility and providing and making sure the people who depend on me are taken care of." "That sounds exhausting." "It is." "Do you ever get a break?" "Thursday nights, 7 to 9. That's my window." 2 hours a week. 2 hours a week, Adrian confirmed. "The rest of the time I'm either working or being Emma's father, and both jobs require me to have answers I don't always have." "What do you do when you don't have the answers?" "Fake it. Make the best guess I can and hope I'm not completely destroying my daughter's childhood in the process." Lily leaned forward slightly. "Can I tell you what I saw when Emma was talking to you?" "Please." "I saw a kid who feels safe enough to ask hard questions, who knows her dad will show up even when he's tired, who's confident and curious and kind because someone taught her to be those things." Lily paused. "You're not destroying anything. You're doing better than you think." Adrian's jaw tightened. For a moment he didn't say anything. Then, "How do you do that?" "Do what?" "Say exactly what I need to hear without making it sound like empty comfort." "Maybe because I mean it." They looked at each other across the table, and something shifted. Some invisible line crossed or acknowledged. "I thought about you," Adrian said quietly. "This week. More than I should have." Lily's heart kicked against her ribs. "I thought about you too. I kept trying to figure out why. We barely know each other." "Maybe that's why. No history, no expectations. Just two people who were honest for 5 minutes." "Is that what you want? 5 minutes?" The question hung in the air between them. Lily didn't know how to answer. What did she want? A friendship? A relationship? A temporary escape from her regular life where nothing ever changed and everything always hurt? Emma returned before Lily could formulate a response, Margaret trailing behind her. "I'm sleepy," Emma announced, climbing back into her chair. "Can we go home soon?" Adrian checked his watch. "It's 8:30, past someone's bedtime." "I don't have a bedtime." "You have an 8 o'clock bedtime that you're currently violating." "Special circumstances. We're doing hot chocolate research." Emma looked at Lily. "What's your phone number?" "Emma, you can't just ask people for their phone numbers," Adrian said. "Why not? How else am I supposed to call her for our next hot chocolate test?" "I'll coordinate schedules with Lily." "That sounds boring. I want her number so I can text her." "You're 6. You don't have a phone." "I have the iPad. That counts." Adrian looked at Lily helplessly. "You don't have to." "It's fine." Lily rattled off her number. Emma made Margaret write it down in the notebook, then carefully drew a star next to it. "There. Now we're official friends." Emma covered a yawn with her hand. "Margaret, can you carry me? My legs are tired." "Your legs are always tired when it's time to leave somewhere fun," Margaret said, but she helped Emma out of her chair and steadied her. Adrian stood. "I'll walk you out." They made their way through the restaurant, Adrian and Lily together, Margaret and Emma a few steps ahead. At the elevator, Emma turned around and gave Lily an enormous hug that nearly knocked her over. "I'm glad you came," Emma said into Lily's stomach. "You should come again." "I'd like that." "Good. Next Thursday, same time. We'll try the place on Michigan Avenue with the fancy cups." "Emma, we haven't asked if Lily's available," Adrian said. "She said she'd like to come again. That means she's available." Emma pulled back and looked up at Lily. "Right?" Lily glanced at Adrian, who was trying very hard not to smile. "Right," Lily agreed. The elevator arrived. Margaret and Emma stepped inside. "Bye, Lily," Emma called out as the doors began to close. "Don't let my dad work too much." Then they were gone, and Lily was alone with Adrian in the restaurant hallway. "I'm sorry," Adrian said. "She's perfect," Lily finished. "She's perfect. She's a nightmare. She's both." Adrian ran a hand through his hair, disrupting its careful styling. "I shouldn't have ambushed you with her. I wanted you to meet her. I don't know why, but I did. I'm glad I met her. Are you really free next Thursday? Lily thought about her schedule. 3 jobs, endless obligations, a life that left exactly 0 room for hot chocolate research with a billionaire and his 6-year-old daughter. Yes, she said. Adrian looked at her for a long moment. I should let you go. It's late. It's 8:30. For you, it's probably early. For me, it's the end of my Thursday window. Back to work tomorrow? Back to work tonight. I have calls with Tokyo at 11. That sounds terrible. It's what I signed up for. They stood there in the hallway, neither moving toward the elevator. Can I ask you something? Lily said. Yes. Why did you really invite me tonight? Adrian was quiet for a moment. Because last Thursday, for 2 hours, I felt like myself instead of the person I've had to become. And I wanted to see if that was real or if I'd imagined it. And I didn't imagine it. Lily's chest felt tight. I should go. You should. Neither of them moved. Then Adrian stepped closer, not touching, but close enough that Lily could see the exact color of his eyes in the hallway light, gray with flecks of blue. I'm not good at this, he said quietly. I haven't dated anyone since my wife died. Haven't wanted to, haven't had time. Haven't met anyone who made me want to make time. And now? Now I'm standing in a hallway talking to a woman I barely know, trying to figure out if asking her to have coffee sometime would be completely inappropriate. Lily's heart was doing something complicated in her chest. Coffee seems pretty harmless. Does it? Compared to hot chocolate with your daughter? Definitely. Adrian's mouth quirked. Fair point. Ask me, Lily said. What? Ask me to have coffee with you. Let's see what happens. Adrian looked at her, really looked at her, like he was trying to memorize her face. Lily Carter, would you have coffee with me sometime? Yes? When? When are you free? I'm never free. Then when can you make yourself free? Adrian pulled out his phone and scrolled through what looked like an impossibly packed calendar. Sunday morning, 7 a.m. I have a meeting at 9, but I could do breakfast before that. 7 a.m. on a Sunday? I know it's early. I'll be there. Adrian looked surprised. Really? Really? Where? Lily thought about it. Somewhere that's not the apex. Somewhere normal people go. I don't know where normal people go anymore. Then I'll pick the place and text you the address. Okay? They stood there smiling at each other like idiots until the elevator dinged and a couple stepped out, glancing at them curiously. Lily pressed the call button. I should really go now. You should. The elevator arrived. Lily stepped inside. Sunday, Adrian said. 7 a.m. Don't be late. I'm never late. Good. The doors began to close. Lily? Adrian's hand shot out, stopping them. I'm glad you came tonight. Me too. He let the doors close. Lily rode down 43 floors with a smile she couldn't suppress, and a feeling in her chest that she hadn't felt in so long she'd almost forgotten what to call it. Hope. She walked out into the Chicago night and pulled out her phone to text her coworker, Sarah, the one who'd loaned her the shoes. I need help picking a coffee shop, Sarah responded immediately. Why? Did something happen? Lily looked back up at the building, at the lights 43 floors above the street. Something might be happening. I'm not sure yet. Details. Now. Sunday. I'll tell you everything Sunday night. You're killing me. I know. Sorry. Lily put her phone away and started walking toward the bus stop. Her feet hurt in Sarah's borrowed shoes, and she had an early shift at her weekend job tomorrow, and her apartment was still freezing because the landlord hadn't fixed the heater. But for the first time in 11 months, none of that felt quite as heavy as it usually did. Her phone buzzed. Adrian, Emma says thank you for coming. Also, she's decided you're her new best friend. I apologize in advance for whatever that means. Lily, tell her the feeling is mutual. Adrian, you don't know what you've just agreed to. Lily, probably not. Adrian, see you Sunday. Lily, Sunday. She climbed onto the bus and rode through the dark city, watching Chicago slide past the windows. Somewhere out there, Adrian was probably in a car heading to his penthouse. Emma was probably already asleep. Margaret was probably relieved the evening was over. And Lily was riding a bus toward her tiny apartment, Still wearing borrowed shoes, still broke, still struggling. But something had changed. Something had shifted. And as the bus carried her south through neighborhoods that got progressively rougher, Lily let herself believe, just for tonight, that maybe Emma was right. Maybe life was too short to be sad all the time. Maybe it was okay to let someone in. Maybe this was the beginning of something that could be good. The bus stopped at her corner. Lily got off and walked the 3 blocks to her building, climbed the 4 flights to her apartment, unlocked the door to her studio with its broken heater and its leaking faucet and its landlord who kept threatening eviction. She kicked off Sarah's shoes and collapsed onto her bed fully dressed. Her phone buzzed one more time. Adrian. Emma wanted me to tell you that you passed all her tests. She's never said that about anyone before. Lily stared at the message, something warm spreading through her chest. Lily. What does that mean? Adrian. It means she trusts you, and Emma doesn't trust easily. Lily. Neither do I. Adrian. I know. Good night, Lily. Lily. Good night, Adrian. She set her phone on the nightstand and stared at the ceiling, too wired to sleep despite her exhaustion. Across the city, Adrian Cole sat in his home office with financial reports spread across his desk and Tokyo waiting on hold. He picked up his phone and looked at Lily's last message. Neither do I. He understood that more than she probably realized. Adrian set down his phone and returned to work, but for the first time in 4 years, the work felt like something he was doing between moments of his real life instead of the other way around. And somewhere in the space between a struggling woman's tiny apartment and a billionaire's penthouse office, something impossible had started to take shape, something neither of them had been looking for, something that felt dangerously close to hope. Sunday morning arrived cold and gray, the kind of Chicago November day that made people reconsider every choice that had brought them to the Midwest. Lily stood outside a small coffee shop in Wicker Park at 6:53 a.m., watching her breath fog in the air and questioning her sanity. She'd picked this place deliberately, a neighborhood spot called Brew. Nothing fancy, the kind of coffee shop where freelancers camped out with laptops and the baristas knew regular customers by name. The opposite of the apex in every way that mattered. Her phone buzzed. Adrian. I'm 3 minutes away. Traffic on Lake Shore. Lily. No rush. I'm early. She'd been early by 15 minutes, actually, because she'd been too anxious to stay in her apartment. She'd changed clothes 4 times before settling on jeans and a sweater that Sarah had insisted made her look approachable but not desperate. Whatever that meant. A black car pulled up to the curb. Not a limo, but still obviously expensive. Adrian stepped out and Lily's stomach did something complicated. He wore jeans. Actual jeans, paired with a navy sweater and a jacket that probably cost more than her monthly rent, but at least wasn't a suit. He looked younger somehow, less like the controlled businessman from the apex and more like a regular person who still moved like he owned every space he entered, but still. You found it, Lily said as he approached. Your directions were very detailed. I didn't want you ending up at some corporate Starbucks by accident. I know where Starbucks is. I'm not completely removed from normal life. You eat at the Apex twice a week. Fair point. Adrian glanced at the coffee shop's worn exterior, the mismatched chairs visible through the window, the chalkboard menu. This is perfect. Yeah? Yeah, shall we? They went inside. The place was quiet at this hour, just a few early risers scattered at tables, the espresso machine hissing, NPR playing softly from speakers mounted in corners. The barista, a girl with purple hair and multiple piercings, looked up from her phone. What can I get you? Adrian looked at the menu board like it was written in a foreign language. Just a regular coffee, Lily suggested. They do a good pour over here. I'll try that. Make it 2, Lily told the barista. And can we get those breakfast sandwiches? The egg and cheese? Perfect. Adrian pulled out his wallet, but Lily put a hand on his arm. I've got this. You picked the place. Let me pay. Nope. My territory, my rules. Lily, Adrian, it's $12. I can afford $12. It was a lie. $12 was half her grocery budget for the week. But she needed this, needed to prove to herself and to him that she could meet him somewhere close to equal ground, even if the ground was mostly imaginary. Adrian hesitated, then put his wallet away. Thank you. They took their coffees to a table by the window. Lily wrapped her hands around the warm cup and tried to figure out what to say. All the conversational ease from Thursday night had evaporated, leaving behind the awkward reality that they were basically strangers attempting to have breakfast together at 7 in the morning. "So," Adrian said. "So," Lily echoed. "This is weird, isn't it? Extremely weird. Should we acknowledge the weirdness or pretend it's normal? I think we just acknowledged it, so that ship has sailed." Adrian smiled and some of the tension dissolved. "Emma texted you 17 times yesterday." "I know. We had a very detailed conversation about which hot chocolate places to investigate next. She's very organized. She gets that from me. The organization or the obsessive planning?" "Both." The barista brought their sandwiches. Lily took a bite and nearly moaned. She'd skipped dinner last night to save money, and this was the first hot food she'd had in 2 days. "Good?" Adrian asked. "Really good. How's yours?" "I honestly can't remember the last time I had a breakfast sandwich from anywhere that wasn't catered." "That's depressing." "That's my life." Lily set down her sandwich. "Can I ask you something?" "Yes." "Why are you here? And I don't mean philosophically, I mean specifically, why are you having coffee with me at 7 a.m. on a Sunday when you could be sleeping or spending time with Emma or doing literally anything else?" Adrian took a sip of his coffee, buying time. "Do you want the polite answer or the honest one?" "Honest. I'm here because Thursday night I went home and couldn't stop thinking about you. Because Friday I had back-to-back meetings and I caught myself checking my phone to see if you'd texted. Because Saturday, Emma asked me 12 times when she'd see you again, and I realized I was asking myself the same question." He paused. "Because for the first time in 4 years, I met someone who didn't want anything from me except honesty." Lily's throat felt tight. "That's a lot of pressure to put on a second meeting." "I know, I'm sorry." "Don't be sorry, just, I need you to understand something." She chose her words carefully. "I'm not in a place where I can be someone's salvation or emotional support or whatever you're looking for. I'm barely keeping my own life together. I work 3 jobs. I'm 1 bad month away from eviction. I eat ramen 4 nights a week and I haven't had health insurance in 6 months." "Okay. Okay? That's your response? What do you want me to say, that I'll fix all your problems?" "I could. I have the money. But that's not what you want, is it?" "No." "Then what do you want from me, Lily?" The question hung between them. What did she want? She'd spent the last 3 days trying to figure that out. A relationship? She could barely afford her own life, let alone the emotional energy required for dating. A friendship? With a billionaire who lived in a completely different world? A brief distraction from her regular existence? "I don't know," she admitted. "I just know that when I'm around you, I feel less alone. And I haven't felt that way in a long time." Adrian was quiet for a moment. Then, "I spent yesterday afternoon at Emma's ballet recital. She was terrible, forgot half her steps, crashed into another kid, lost her shoe. Afterwards, all the other parents were talking about their kids like they'd just performed at Lincoln Center. But Emma came off stage crying because she knew she'd messed up." "What did you tell her?" "I told her that mistakes don't define us. That trying something hard and failing is better than never trying at all." He looked at Lily directly, and then I drove home and realized I'd been giving my 6-year-old advice I couldn't follow myself. "What do you mean?" "I mean, I've spent 4 years playing it safe, building walls, keeping everyone at a distance except Emma. And then I met you, and something in those walls cracked, and it scared the hell out of me." Adrian set down his coffee cup. "So I'm here because I'm trying to take my own advice. I'm trying something hard. I'll probably mess it up. But at least I'm trying." Lily didn't know what to say to that. Outside the window, Chicago was waking up. People walking dogs, joggers passing by, the city moving into another day. "I saw Ryan yesterday," she said abruptly. Adrian's expression shifted. "Where?" "At the grocery store. He was with that blonde woman from the restaurant. They were buying wine and cheese and laughing about something." Lily traced the rim of her coffee cup. "He saw me in the checkout line with my cart full of discount ramen and canned soup. And for a second, I saw myself the way he probably saw me. This sad, broke woman who couldn't even afford real groceries." "Did he say anything?" "No, but he didn't have to. The look on his face said everything." She took a shaky breath. "I almost texted you to cancel this morning. Because what's the point, right? You're going to figure out eventually that I'm exactly what Ryan said I was. Someone who doesn't belong in your world. My world is a penthouse apartment where I eat dinner alone most nights while my daughter sleeps, and my only adult conversation happens in boardrooms. Adrian's voice was steady but intense. Your world is working 3 jobs and still showing up for people. Still being kind to a stranger's kid. Still having the courage to meet me for coffee, even though you're terrified I'm going to judge you the way your ex did. You don't know me well enough to… You're right, I don't. But I'd like to, if you'll let me. The coffee shop door opened, bringing in a blast of cold air and a group of college students. Their laughter filled the small space, breaking the intensity of the moment. Lily finished her sandwich and wished it wasn't gone. I need to tell you something else. Okay. Thursday night, when Emma was asking me all those questions and being adorable, part of me was thinking about how much easier my life would be if I just let this happen. Let you into my life. Let you help with the money problems and the job problems and all the things that keep me up at night. And that scared me more than anything, because I've worked so hard to not need anyone, to prove I can survive on my own. And the idea of depending on someone again, especially someone who could take it all away. She shook her head. Ryan made me feel like I needed him, like I was nothing without him. And when he left, it almost destroyed me. I can't do that again. Adrian leaned forward. What if I told you I'm not interested in you needing me? Then what are you interested in? Knowing you, spending time with you. Letting Emma spend time with you because she lights up when she talks about you, and I haven't seen her that excited about a person in years. He paused. I'm not looking for someone to save or fix. I'm looking for someone who gets it, the loneliness, the pretending, the feeling like you're drowning while everyone around you assumes you've got it all figured out. That's specific. That's my life. And I think it might be yours too. Lily couldn't argue with that. They sat in silence for a moment, the coffee shop noise swirling around them. The purple-haired barista was making drinks for the college students, the espresso machine drowning out their chatter. I have to be at work in 2 hours, Lily said finally. Weekend shift at a retail store in the Loop. Which store? Does it matter? I'm curious about your life. That's allowed, isn't it? Lily sighed. Morrison's, the department store on State Street. What do you do there? I work in the shoe department. Help customers find their size, restock shelves, deal with returns. And your other jobs? Wednesday and Friday nights, I waitress at a diner in my neighborhood. Monday and Tuesday evenings, I do data entry for a medical billing company from home. Adrian's expression was unreadable. When do you sleep? When I can. Lily, don't. Please don't do the thing where you offer to help or tell me I'm working too hard or suggest I let you pay for things. I know you mean well, but I need to do this myself. Why? Because if I don't, I'll never know if I can. Adrian sat back in his chair. Okay. Okay? Okay. I won't offer to help, but I'm allowed to think it's ridiculous that you're working yourself into the ground. Thinking it is fine. Saying it is annoying. Noted. Lily checked her phone. 7:34 a.m. She needed to catch the 8:15 bus to make it to work on time. I should go soon, she said. Can I drive you? To work? That defeats the entire purpose of proving I can do things myself. It's just a ride. People give each other rides all the time. People who are friends give each other rides. Are we friends? Adrian considered this. I'm not sure what we are. Me neither. Does it need a label right now? Probably not. Then let me drive you to work. Not because you need help, but because I have a car and you have a bus pass, and one of those options is significantly warmer than the other. Lily wanted to say no, wanted to maintain her independence and her boundaries and all the walls she'd carefully constructed. But it was cold outside, and the bus would be crowded, and her feet already hurt from her shift yesterday. Fine, she said, but just this once. Just this once, Adrian agreed, and they both knew it was a lie. They finished their coffee and stepped out into the freezing morning. Adrian's driver was waiting with the car, engine running to keep it warm. The driver opened the back door. Lily slid in, and the heated leather seats felt like luxury she didn't deserve. Adrian climbed in beside her and gave the driver the address. They drove through Chicago's Sunday morning quiet. The streets less crowded than weekdays, everything moving at a slower pace. Lily watched the neighborhoods change outside the window, going from the hip coffee shops of Wicker Park to the commercial district downtown. Emma wants to know if you're coming to her birthday party, Adrian said. Lily turned to look at him. That's 2 months away. She's a planner, takes after her father, remember? I don't know if I'll still be, we might not. Lily struggled to find the right words. 2 months is a long time. It is, Adrian agreed, but Emma doesn't make friends easily. She's already decided you're important. So I'm asking, if you're still around in 2 months, will you come to a 6-year-old's birthday party complete with bouncy castle and too much sugar? You're really committing to this bouncy castle thing. She's been talking about it since June. I'm legally obligated at this point. Lily smiled despite herself. If I'm still around, yes, I'll come. Good. She'll be thrilled. The car pulled up in front of Morrison's. The store wouldn't open for another hour, but employees were already arriving for their shifts. Thank you for coffee, Adrian said, and breakfast, and the conversation. Thank you for the ride. Can I see you again? The question was simple, but the weight behind it wasn't. Lily thought about her schedule, the 3 jobs, the constant exhaustion, the barely there margins of her life. Then she thought about Emma's notebook full of questions and Adrian's admission that he was trying something hard and the way she'd felt Thursday night when someone finally saw her as more than just the poor girl in the wrinkled dress. Thursday, she said. Hot chocolate research with Emma? She'll be devastated if you cancel. Then I won't cancel. Adrian smiled, and Lily realized she'd started looking forward to that smile, the way it transformed his usually serious face into something open and real. She reached for the door handle. Lily? She turned back. Adrian looked like he wanted to say something important, but whatever it was got stuck somewhere between his brain and his mouth. Finally, he just said, "Have a good shift." You too. Or meeting, whatever you're doing at 9. Acquisitions review, very boring. Sounds it. She got out of the car before the moment could get any more awkward. The cold air hit her immediately, making her wish she'd stayed in the heated interior just a few seconds longer. The car pulled away. Lily watched it disappear into traffic, then turned and walked into Morrison's through the employee entrance. Her coworker Sarah was already in the break room, pulling on her name tag. "Oh my God, you're here early. You're never here early." Sarah's eyes went wide. "Wait, you had the coffee thing this morning. How did it go?" "It went." "That's all I get? It went?" Lily sat down heavily in one of the plastic chairs. "I don't know what's happening, Sarah. I really don't. One minute I'm telling him all the reasons this can't work, and the next minute I'm agreeing to see him again on Thursday. Is he nice?" "Very nice." "Is he hot?" "Objectively, yes." "Does he have weird habits or concerning red flags?" Lily thought about it. "No, he's actually kind of great, which makes it worse." "How does him being great make it worse?" "Because I'm going to screw this up, or he's going to realize I'm not worth the effort, or the universe is going to intervene because I can't actually have nice things." Lily put her head in her hands. "I met his daughter," Sarah gasped. "He has a kid, a 6-year-old named Emma. She's wonderful and terrifying, and she's already decided I'm her new best friend." "Lily, that's huge. Guys don't introduce random women to their kids." "We've known each other for 2 weeks. Clearly he's serious about you. Or he's lonely and desperate and I'm convenient." Sarah threw a wadded-up napkin at her. "Stop it. Stop doing the thing where you assume the worst possible interpretation of everything. It's not assuming when it's based on experience. Ryan was one guy, one terrible guy who was wrong about you. You can't let him dictate the rest of your life." Lily knew Sarah was right. She also knew that knowing something intellectually and believing it emotionally were 2 completely different things. The break room door opened. Their manager stuck his head in. "Carter, you're on the floor in 5. We've got a shipment that needs processing." "Got it." The manager disappeared. Sarah gave Lily a meaningful look. "We're talking about this later, in detail, with wine." "I can't afford wine." "Then I'll buy the wine. But you're not getting out of this conversation." Lily spent the next 8 hours helping customers find shoes, restocking inventory, and processing returns. It was mindless work that left her brain free to wander, which meant she spent most of the shift thinking about Adrian and Emma and the impossibility of the situation she'd somehow found herself in. Around 2 p.m., her phone buzzed with a text. Adrian, Emma wants you to know she started a spreadsheet ranking hot chocolate places. She takes this very seriously. Lily smiled and texted back during her break. Of course she has. Is it color-coded? Adrian, with conditional formatting, I'm raising a tiny corporate analyst. Lily, could be worse. Adrian, could be better. She just asked me if hot chocolate counts as a vegetable because cocoa comes from plants. Lily, that's solid logic. Adrian, that's what I told her. Margaret was less impressed. The text continued sporadically throughout the afternoon. Nothing deep, just little glimpses into Adrian's day with Emma. Lily found herself checking her phone between customers, smiling at updates about Emma's elaborate hot chocolate ranking system and her opinions on marshmallow density. By the time her shift ended at 6, Lily was exhausted but in a better mood than she'd been in days. She changed out of her work clothes in the employee bathroom and headed for the exit, and walked directly into Ryan Holloway. He was standing in the men's shoe section with the blonde woman from the restaurant, Jennifer, Lily remembered. They both had Morrison's shopping bags and were clearly finishing up a successful shopping trip. Ryan saw her at the same moment she saw him. For a second, neither of them moved. Then Ryan's expression shifted into something that looked like concern but felt like condescension. Lily, I didn't know you worked here. There's a lot you don't know about my life anymore. Lily tried to move past him, but he stepped into her path. Can we talk for a minute? I'm on my way out. Just 1 minute, please. Jennifer had wandered toward the handbags, clearly giving them space. Lily wanted to run, but her feet wouldn't cooperate. What do you want, Ryan? He had the decency to look uncomfortable. I wanted to apologize. For the other night at the Apex, I was caught off guard seeing you there with whoever that was. His name is Adrian. Right, Adrian. Ryan's jaw tightened slightly. Are you too serious? That's none of your business. I'm just asking because I care about you, Lily. You're vulnerable right now, and guys like that, rich guys who show up out of nowhere, they usually want something. Lily stared at him in disbelief. You're giving me relationship advice? You? I'm trying to look out for you. 11 months too late. I know I hurt you. You destroyed me, Lily interrupted, her voice shaking. You spent 2 years making me think I was worth something, then threw me away like garbage because I wasn't impressive enough for your colleagues. So don't stand here in my workplace and pretend you care about my well-being. Ryan held up his hands. You're right. I was awful. I've been thinking about that a lot lately, actually, about us. About what I gave up. Stop. I made a mistake, Lily. Jennifer and I, it's not what I thought it would be. She's great, but she's not... She doesn't what? Worship you? Make you feel superior? Let you treat her like she's lucky to be with you? That's not fair. Neither was the note you left with my ring. Ryan looked genuinely pained. I know, I was cruel, I was scared, and I took it out on you, and I'm sorry. I'm really, truly sorry. Jennifer was heading back toward them, oblivious to the tension. I need to go, Lily said. Can we get coffee sometime? Talk properly? No. Lily, I'm not interested in rehashing our relationship or hearing about your regrets. You made your choice. I've moved on. To a billionaire you met 2 weeks ago? The accusation in his voice made her want to slap him. Have a nice life, Ryan. This time when she moved past him, he didn't try to stop her. Lily walked through Morrison's and out into the freezing evening, her heart pounding and her hands shaking. She made it half a block before she had to stop and lean against a building, breathing hard. Her phone buzzed. Adrian, random question, do you like Italian food? Lily stared at the text, her brain still processing the confrontation with Ryan. Lily, yes. Why? Adrian, Emma and I are having dinner at a place in River North. Nothing fancy. Want to join us? Lily should say no. She should go home and process her emotions and not make decisions when she was feeling this raw and vulnerable. Lily, what's the address? Adrian sent it immediately. Lily, I'll be there in 30 minutes. She caught a bus heading north, her mind racing the entire ride. What was she doing? Why was she running to Adrian when she just told Ryan she'd moved on? Was she actually moving on, or was she just using Adrian as a band-aid for wounds that hadn't healed? The restaurant turned out to be a small Italian place with red checkered tablecloths and candles and wine bottles. Lily spotted Adrian and Emma through the window before she went inside. They were at a corner table, Emma coloring on the paper tablecloth while Adrian watched her with an expression of complete adoration. Lily's chest tightened. She pushed open the door. Emma looked up immediately and waved frantically. "Lily, you came! Dad said you might be too busy, but I knew you'd come." Lily slid into the empty chair, and Adrian gave her a look that said he knew something was wrong. "You okay?" he asked quietly. "Long day. Want to talk about it?" "Not really." "Okay." Emma launched into an explanation of the picture she was drawing, something involving a castle and a dragon and what appeared to be a very large hot chocolate cup. Lily listened and made appropriate comments while Adrian ordered food for the table without asking what anyone wanted. The food arrived, pasta and bread and salad that tasted like someone's grandmother had made it. Emma talked nonstop about her day, her upcoming birthday party, her opinions on various hot chocolate establishments. Adrian mostly listened, occasionally redirecting her when she got too far off track. And Lily sat there watching them, this father and daughter who'd somehow made space for her at their table, and felt something break open in her chest. "I ran into my ex today," she said abruptly, interrupting Emma's story about a boy at school who ate paste. Emma stopped mid-sentence. Adrian set down his fork. "The one from the restaurant?" Adrian asked. "Yeah, he was shopping at Morrison's with his girlfriend." "What did he say?" "That he made a mistake. That he wants to get coffee and talk." Lily pushed pasta around her plate. "That I should be careful about guys like you who show up out of nowhere and probably want something." Adrian's expression went carefully neutral. "And what did you tell him?" "That he was 11 months too late and I'd moved on." "Have you?" The question was quiet but direct. Lily looked at Adrian across the table, this man she barely knew who'd somehow become important in the span of 2 weeks. "I don't know. I thought I had. But seeing him today, hearing him apologize, part of me wanted to believe him, wanted to believe I mattered enough for him to regret losing me." "You do matter," Emma said seriously. "You matter to us." Lily's throat felt tight. "Thanks, kiddo." "Are you going to have coffee with him?" Adrian asked. "No, I told him no." "But you're thinking about it." "I'm thinking about a lot of things." Adrian nodded slowly. He looked like he wanted to say something else, but Emma was watching them both with worried eyes. "You know what I think?" Emma announced. "I think your ex is dumb. Because if you were my girlfriend, which you're not because I'm 6 and that would be weird, but if you were, I would never let you go. I would keep you forever and buy you all the hot chocolate you wanted." Despite everything, Lily smiled. "That's very sweet." "It's true. Right, Dad?" Adrian looked at Lily with an intensity that made her breath catch. "Right." They finished dinner while Emma filled the silence with chatter. When the check came, Lily didn't even try to fight Adrian for it. She was too emotionally exhausted to care about proving her independence. Outside the restaurant, Adrian's car was waiting. "Can we drive you home?" Adrian asked. Lily almost said yes, almost let herself fall into the easy comfort of accepting help. "I'll take the bus," she said instead. "I need some time to think." "Lily, I'm fine, really. Thank you for dinner, both of you." She bent down and gave Emma a quick hug, then straightened and met Adrian's eyes. "I'll see you Thursday," she said, "if the offer still stands." "It stands." "Okay." She turned and started walking toward the bus stop before either of them could see the tears building in her eyes. Behind her, she heard Emma ask, "Is Lily sad?" And Adrian's quiet response, "Yeah, sweetheart, I think she is." Lily walked through the cold Chicago night, past restaurants and shops, and people living their lives, and tried to figure out what she wanted. Not what Ryan wanted, not what Adrian wanted, not what would make her life easier or harder. What she wanted. And the terrifying truth was that she didn't know. The week crawled by with the particular cruelty of time that knew you were waiting for something. Lily worked her shifts, avoided thinking about Ryan's apology, and tried not to check her phone every 15 minutes for texts from Adrian. She mostly failed at that last part. Monday brought a message from Emma via Adrian's phone, a photo of a hand-drawn chart ranking hot chocolate establishments by marshmallow quality, temperature consistency, and overall vibe. Tuesday, Adrian sent a picture of Emma asleep on the couch, surrounded by stuffed animals with the caption, "She crashed at 6:30 p.m." The hot chocolate research is exhausting her. Wednesday, nothing. Lily told herself it didn't matter and spent the entire evening wondering why he hadn't texted. Thursday morning arrived with freezing rain that made Chicago look like a painting done entirely in shades of gray. Lily's phone alarm went off at 6, and she lay in bed staring at the ceiling, trying to decide if she was actually going to do this. Her phone buzzed. Adrian. Still on for tonight? No pressure if you'd rather cancel. That should have made it easier to back out. Instead, it made her want to prove she could follow through. Lily. I'll be there. Same time? Adrian. Emma's been ready since Tuesday. See you at 7. Lily dragged herself out of bed and into the shower that only produced lukewarm water. She dressed for her consulting firm job, the one that paid the most but drained her the hardest, and tried to ignore the knot of anxiety in her stomach. The day passed in a blur of spreadsheets and client calls, and her boss asking if she could work late Friday to finish a presentation. Lily said yes because she always said yes, even though Friday was supposed to be her night off. By 6:30, she was standing outside the Apex again, freezing rain soaking through her jacket because her umbrella had broken that morning and she couldn't afford to replace it. Her phone buzzed. Adrian. Are you outside in the rain? Lily looked up at the building. She couldn't see him, but apparently he could see her. Lily. Maybe. Adrian. Come inside before you get hypothermia. Lily. I'm early. I don't want to interrupt if you're not ready. Adrian. Lily. Come inside. She went inside. Marcus the doorman greeted her with a towel he'd pulled from somewhere, which was either very thoughtful or very concerning about how pathetic she looked. Lily dried her face and hair as best she could and rode the elevator up, feeling like a drowned cat. The doors opened. Adrian was standing right there waiting, which startled her enough that she nearly dropped the towel. You're soaked, he said. It's raining. Where's your umbrella? Broken. Your coat? This is my coat. Adrian looked at her thin jacket, the same one she'd been wearing for 3 years, and something shifted in his expression. Come on. He led her not to their usual table, but down a hallway past the bathrooms to a door marked private. Inside was a small office, or maybe a storage room with a couch and a coat rack, and what looked like spare restaurant supplies. Wait here, Adrian said, and disappeared. Lily stood there dripping on expensive carpet and wondering what she'd gotten herself into. Adrian returned a minute later with a women's coat. Designer, clearly expensive, still wrapped in dry cleaning plastic. This was in the staff lost and found for 6 months. No one's claimed it. You need it more than they do. I can't take someone's coat. It's been 6 months, Lily. They're not coming back for it. Still feels like stealing. Then consider it a loan until you can afford to buy your own proper winter coat. He held it out. Please. You're shivering. She was. Lily took the coat and pulled it on. It was warm and soft and probably cost more than her rent. It fit perfectly. Thank you, she said quietly. You're welcome. Adrian studied her face. Bad day? Long day. There's a difference. Want to talk about it? Not particularly. Okay. He didn't push, which made Lily like him more than she wanted to admit. Emma's at the table doing homework. Margaret brought workbooks because someone has a spelling test tomorrow and hasn't studied. On a Thursday night? Emma operates on her own schedule. They walked back to the main dining room. Emma was indeed hunched over a workbook, looking deeply unhappy about it. When she saw Lily, her face lit up. You're here, and you're wearing a fancy coat. Dad, did you see Lily's coat? I did see it. It's very nice. Emma narrowed her eyes. That looks like the coat from your office, the one from the Lost and Found. Emma, Margaret said warningly. What? I'm just saying it looks similar. Emma turned to Lily. Is it the same coat? Lily glanced at Adrian, who looked mildly panicked. Adrian, who looked... It is, Lily admitted. My umbrella broke this morning and I got soaked. Your dad very kindly loaned me something dry. Oh, that makes sense. Emma went back to her workbook, crisis averted. Can you help me with my spelling words? Dad always helps, but he's bad at it. I'm not bad at it, Adrian protested. You spell everything correctly on the first try. That's not helpful when I'm trying to learn. Lily sat down next to Emma and looked at the workbook. Third grade spelling words, most of them having to do with weather. What do you need help with? Thunder. I keep putting an E at the end. Okay, let's sound it out. They worked through the spelling list while Adrian ordered food and Margaret checked her phone. Emma was a quick learner but easily distracted, and Lily found herself having to redirect her attention every few minutes. Why do we have to spell things the way they sound if English doesn't follow its own rules? Emma demanded after struggling with lightning. Because English is a language that mugged other languages in dark alleys and stole their vocabulary, Lily said without thinking. Emma stared at her, then burst out laughing. That's what Dad says, Adrian smiled. It's an accurate description. They finished the spelling words just as food arrived. Emma immediately abandoned the workbook and started asking Lily detailed questions about her day while methodically destroying a plate of chicken fingers. So you work at an office? Emma asked around a mouthful of food. Emma, swallow before talking, Margaret reminded her. Emma swallowed. You work at an office? I do. I help businesses figure out how to run better. That sounds boring. Emma, Adrian said. No, she's right, Lily agreed. It is pretty boring. Lots of spreadsheets and meetings and explaining the same things over and over. Then why do you do it? Because it pays the bills. But you have other jobs too, right? Dad said you work a lot. Lily shot Adrian a look. He had the decency to appear apologetic. I do work a lot, Lily confirmed. 3 jobs right now. Why 3? Because 1 doesn't pay enough and 2 doesn't quite cover everything. Emma processed this with the seriousness of someone much older. That doesn't seem fair. It's not. But that's how it works sometimes. Dad could give you money. He has lots of it. Emma, Adrian and Margaret said simultaneously. What? He does. He's always giving money to people for their businesses. Why can't he give money to Lily? Lily felt her face heat up. That's very sweet, but I can't take money from your dad. Why not? Because we're friends, and friends don't take money from each other. Dad gives Margaret money, and they're friends. That's different, Margaret interjected smoothly. I work for your father. That's called a salary. Could Lily work for Dad? Emma, that's enough, Adrian said firmly. Lily has her own jobs. She doesn't need to work for me. Emma looked mutinous, but dropped the subject. They ate in silence for a moment before she pivoted to asking Lily about her favorite movies. The evening progressed in fits and starts, Emma's boundless energy punctuated by moments where Lily and Adrian caught each other's eyes and had entire conversations without speaking. Margaret eventually declared it time to go home, and Emma made a scene about wanting to stay longer until Adrian promised she could bring Lily to the next hot chocolate location. When? Emma demanded. Next Thursday, Adrian said. That's too long. It's literally a week, same as always. But what if Lily forgets about us? Lily crouched down to Emma's level. I'm not going to forget about you, kiddo. You're pretty unforgettable. Promise? Promise. Emma threw her arms around Lily's neck in a hug that nearly knocked her over. Okay, but you have to text me this week. Dad has to give you my iPad number. I will absolutely text you. Satisfied, Emma allowed Margaret to collect her things and shepherd her toward the elevator. Adrian walked them out, leaving Lily alone at the table. She sat there surrounded by the remains of dinner and wondered what she was doing. This wasn't her life. This restaurant, this little girl, this man who kept looking at her like she mattered. None of it fit into the carefully controlled existence she'd built for herself. Adrian returned and slid back into his seat. I'm sorry about Emma's money comments. She doesn't understand boundaries yet. It's fine. She's 6. She's pushy. She cares. There's a difference. They sat in silence for a moment. The restaurant was quieter tonight, fewer diners, the jazz band playing something slow and melancholy. Can I ask you something? Adrian said. Sure. Why are you here? Lily blinked. You invited me. That's not what I mean. I mean, why are you actually here spending your Thursday evening with a widower and his precocious daughter when you could be doing literally anything else? Like what? Working my 3rd job? Sitting alone in my apartment eating ramen? You could have friends, a social life, other things that don't involve us. Lily picked at the napkin in her lap. I don't really have friends anymore. I had work friends when I was with Ryan, but they were more his friends than mine. After we broke up, they stopped calling, and I've been too busy working to make new ones. That's lonely. That's life. She looked up at him. What about you? You have friends? Business associates, people I golf with occasionally, parents from Emma's school who invite me to things out of obligation. But no actual friends. No? That's lonely too. It is, Adrian agreed, which brings me back to my original question. Why are you here? Lily thought about how to answer that honestly. Because when I'm with you and Emma, I don't feel lonely. I feel like maybe I could be the person I was before Ryan convinced me I was worthless. Or maybe a better version of that person. Adrian's expression softened. You were never worthless. Easy for you to say. You're successful and rich and confident. I'm a mess who works 80-hour weeks to avoid dealing with the fact that my wife died, and I never figured out how to be happy after that. The admission hung between them, raw and honest. We're quite a pair, Lily said quietly. We are. The waiter appeared with the check. Adrian signed it without looking, and they made their way toward the elevator. Outside, the freezing rain had turned to wet snow, making Chicago look almost pretty despite the cold. Can I drive you home? Adrian asked. Lily almost said yes, almost let herself accept the easy comfort of a warm car and someone else taking care of logistics. I should take the bus, she said instead. It's snowing. I have a coat now. She pulled the borrowed designer coat tighter. Thanks to you. Lily, I need to think, Adrian, and I can't think when I'm around you because you make everything feel too easy. He studied her face. Is that a bad thing? I don't know yet. Adrian pulled out his phone and tapped something. I just sent you money for an Uber. Before you argue, it's late, it's snowing, and I won't sleep tonight if I know you're waiting for a bus in this weather. Lily's phone buzzed with the notification. $25, more than enough to get home safely. Thank you, she said, because arguing felt pointless and she was too tired to fight. Text me when you get home. Okay. They stood there in the building's lobby, neither quite ready to say goodbye. Ryan texted me, Lily said abruptly. Adrian's jaw tightened slightly. What did he say? That he wants to meet, that he's sorry and he misses me and he thinks we gave up too easily. What did you tell him? I haven't responded yet. Are you going to? Lily looked up at Adrian. This man she barely knew who'd somehow become important to her in the span of 3 weeks. I don't know. Part of me wants to hear him out, wants to believe someone could actually regret losing me. And the other part? The other part knows I'll never be enough for him. That even if we got back together, I'd spend the whole time waiting for him to realize I'm still the same poor girl he threw away the first time. Adrian stepped closer, not touching, but close enough that Lily could see the exact pattern of gray in his eyes. You're not the girl he threw away. You're the woman who works 3 jobs and still shows up for people, who helps a 6-year-old with spelling homework and doesn't make her feel stupid, who's honest about struggling instead of pretending everything's fine. You barely know me. I know enough. Do you? I know you're scared. I know you're working yourself into the ground trying to prove you don't need anyone. I know you think accepting help makes you weak. His voice was quiet but intense. I know because I do the same thing. I work 80-hour weeks and raise Emma alone and push everyone away because asking for help feels like admitting I can't handle my own life. Lily's throat felt tight. This is too much, too fast. 3 weeks ago, I was alone and fine with it, and now I'm standing here feeling things I don't know how to process. Then don't process them, just feel them. I don't know how to do that. Neither do I. But maybe we could figure it out together. The words were so simple and so terrifying that Lily didn't know how to respond. The Uber app on her phone chimed. Her car was 2 minutes away. I should go, she said. Okay, I'll see you next Thursday? If you want to. I want to. She paused. That's the problem. I really want to. Adrian smiled sadly. That doesn't sound like a problem. It is when I don't trust myself to want the right things. The Uber pulled up outside. Lily could see it through the glass doors, waiting. She turned to leave, then stopped and looked back at Adrian. If I figure out what I want, I'll tell you. I promise. I'll be here. Lily walked out into the snowy night and climbed into the Uber. As the car pulled away, she looked back to see Adrian still standing in the lobby, watching her leave. She pulled out her phone and scrolled to Ryan's unanswered text. I miss you. Can we talk? Just coffee. No pressure. I know I don't deserve another chance, but I'm asking anyway. Her finger hovered over the keyboard. She could say yes, could meet him for coffee and hear him out and maybe, possibly, get back something she'd lost. Or she could delete the message and move forward instead of backward. Lily locked her phone without responding and watched Chicago slide past the window. When she got home 20 minutes later, she texted Adrian. Home safe. Thank you for the coat and the Uber and the company. His response came immediately. Anytime. Sleep well. Lily. You too. She set her phone down and noticed another text had come in while she was typing. From Ryan. Please, Lily. I know I hurt you, but I think we could be good together if we tried again. I'm different now. Give me a chance to prove it. Lily stared at the message for a long time. Then she typed, I don't think that's a good idea. I'm sorry. She hit send before she could change her mind. Ryan's response came within seconds. Is this because of that guy from the restaurant, the rich one? Lily felt anger flare in her chest. Even now, even when he was supposedly apologizing, Ryan couldn't help but make it about what she was doing wrong. Lily, this is because you broke my heart, and I'm not interested in giving you another chance to do it again. This isn't about anyone else. It's about me choosing myself for once. Ryan, you're making a mistake. Lily, maybe, but it's my mistake to make. She blocked his number before he could respond. Then she sat on her bed in her freezing apartment wearing a borrowed designer coat and cried. Not because she regretted blocking Ryan, but because she'd finally done something that felt like moving forward instead of staying stuck. Her phone buzzed. A text from Emma via Adrian's number. This is Emma. Dad showed me how to text from his phone. Did you get home safe? Are you warm enough? Do you need extra blankets? We have lots of blankets. Lily smiled through tears. Lily, I'm home and warm. Thank you for checking on me, kiddo. Emma, good. Margaret says you're supposed to drink hot tea when you're cold. Do you have tea? Lily, I do. Emma, good. Also, I finished my spelling homework. I got all the words right. You're a good teacher. Lily, you're a good student. Emma, I know. Dad says I'm very smart, but also very humble. Lily, your dad is right about the smart part. Emma, are you laughing? I can't see you, but I hope you're laughing. Lily, I am. Emma, good. Okay, Dad says I have to give him his phone back now and go to bed. See you next Thursday for hot chocolate research. Lily, see you Thursday. Adrian, sorry, she hijacked my phone. I'll try to keep better control of my technology. Lily, don't. I needed that tonight. Adrian, rough evening? Lily, rough week, but getting better. Adrian, good. And Lily? Lily, yeah? Adrian, whatever you decide about Ryan, about us, about anything, I'm not going anywhere. No pressure, no expectations, just, I'm here if you need me. Lily stared at the message, her chest aching with something that felt like hope and fear mixed together. Lily, thank you. That means more than you know. She set her phone down and made herself a cup of tea. The apartment was still freezing, the heater still broken, her life still a mess of too much work and too little money. But something had shifted. She'd blocked Ryan. She'd chosen to keep seeing Adrian and Emma. She'd accepted help in the form of a coat and an Uber and spelling homework assistance. Small things, tiny steps, but they felt like progress. Lily drank her tea and thought about Emma's question from earlier. Why do you do it if it's boring? Why did she work 3 soul-crushing jobs? Why did she accept barely enough money to survive? Why did she keep proving she could do everything alone when being alone was making her miserable? She didn't have good answers. Her phone buzzed again. Sarah this time. Sarah, did you block Ryan? Because he just texted me asking what your deal is and why you won't talk to him. Lily, I blocked him about an hour ago. Sarah, good. What did he say? Lily, that he wants another chance, that he's different now, that I'm making a mistake. Sarah, and you told him? Lily, that I'm choosing myself. Sarah, I'm literally crying. I'm so proud of you. Lily, it was just a text. Sarah, it was huge. You stood up to him. You chose yourself over the guy who spent 2 years making you feel worthless. That's massive. Lily, I guess. Sarah, no guessing. That was massive. How do you feel? Lily thought about it. How did she feel? Lily, scared, relieved, worried I made the wrong choice, but also like maybe I did something right for once. Sarah, you absolutely did. And now you can focus on the hot billionaire and his adorable daughter without Ryan's ghost hanging over everything. Lily, it's not like that with Adrian. Sarah, sure it's not. That's why you spent 3 hours telling me about him last weekend. Lily, I'm just figuring things out. Sarah, figure faster. Life's too short to waste time on maybes. Lily smiled despite herself. Lily, when did you become so wise? Sarah, I've always been wise. You're just finally listening. They texted for another 20 minutes before Sarah had to go. Lily finished her tea and got ready for bed, which consisted of changing into sweatpants and climbing under 3 blankets because her broken heater still wasn't fixed. She lay there in the dark, thinking about everything and nothing. Her phone screen lit up one more time. Adrian, random thought. Emma's birthday is in 7 weeks. The bouncy castle has been ordered. The invitation still stands. Lily stared at the message. 7 weeks. That felt both impossibly far away and dangerously close. Lily, I'll be there. Adrian, good. She'd be devastated if you weren't. Lily, just her? Adrian, no, not just her. Lily's heart did something complicated in her chest. Lily, good night, Adrian? Adrian, good night, Lily. She set her phone on the nightstand and closed her eyes. Tomorrow she'd wake up and go to work and keep struggling and keep trying to figure out her life. But tonight, she'd made a choice. She'd chosen to stop looking backward. And maybe, possibly, she'd started choosing to move forward instead. It wasn't much, but it was something. And for the first time in 11 months, something felt like enough. 7 weeks turned out to be both longer and shorter than Lily expected. The Thursdays became a constant. Hot chocolate research with Emma, dinner with Adrian, conversations that started superficial and ended up somewhere real. They tried 6 different establishments, and Emma kept meticulous records in her spreadsheet, complete with ratings for chocolate quality, marshmallow distribution, and ambiance. The Apex remained her favorite, though she admitted it might be statistically biased because that's where she'd met Lily. That's not how statistics work, Adrian told her during their 4th Thursday. Then explain why every place feels worse than the Apex, Emma countered. Because you're measuring emotional attachment, not objective quality. Exactly. Statistics. Lily had laughed so hard she'd nearly spit out her hot chocolate. But the Thursdays were just 2 hours a week. The rest of the time, Lily worked her 3 jobs and tried to figure out what she was doing with her life. Her consulting firm boss kept piling on projects. The retail store cut her hours twice, then added them back without warning. The medical billing company's system crashed, and she spent an entire weekend manually entering data to catch up. She was exhausted, constantly. And somewhere in the middle of all that exhaustion, she'd started letting Adrian help in small ways. He'd send an Uber when it was late. He'd order extra food at dinner and insist she take the leftovers home. Once, when her apartment's heat finally died completely in mid-December, he'd offered his guest room, and she'd almost said yes before her pride kicked in. She'd stayed with Sarah instead, sleeping on a couch that was too short and waking up with a crick in her neck. Adrian had texted, "The offer stands. No strings. Just a warm place to sleep." Lily, I know, thank you. She hadn't taken him up on it, but knowing the offer existed made the freezing night slightly more bearable. Now it was January, Emma's birthday was tomorrow, and Lily was standing in a discount store trying to figure out what to buy a 6-year-old who had everything. Sarah stood next to her, equally stumped. What do you get a rich kid? Something that doesn't cost a fortune, but also doesn't look cheap next to whatever else she's getting. So, nothing exists in that category. Helpful. I'm being realistic. Sarah picked up a stuffed animal and put it back down. What is she like besides hot chocolate and interrogating adults? Lily thought about it. Books? She's always reading, and she likes drawing. She showed me this notebook full of castle designs last week. So, get her a book and a fancy notebook. That feels insufficient for someone who's getting a bouncy castle. The bouncy castle is from her dad, not you. You're allowed to give normal person gifts. Lily knew Sarah was right. She picked out a hardcover book about a girl who solved mysteries, plus a leather-bound journal with a dragon embossed on the cover. Total cost, $43, which was approximately $43 more than she should be spending. Sarah drove her to the party the next day. The address Adrian had sent turned out to be not his penthouse, but a rented event space in Lincoln Park, with floor-to-ceiling windows and enough room for the promised bouncy castle, plus what looked like half of Emma's school. Jesus, Sarah breathed. This is a 6-year-old's birthday party? Apparently. And you're dating the guy who paid for this? I'm not dating him. I don't know what we are. Figure it out soon, because I need to know if I should start being nicer to you in case you become rich. Lily elbowed her. You're terrible. I'm practical. There's a difference. They walked into chaos. Children everywhere, running, screaming, jumping in the bouncy castle that took up a quarter of the room. Parents clustered in groups, drinking what was probably expensive wine and pretending to supervise. Decorations in purple and silver, Emma's current favorite colors. A table stacked with presents that made Lily's book and journal look pathetically small. Emma spotted her immediately and came running over, nearly knocking Lily down with the force of her hug. You came! I told Dad you'd come, but he said maybe you'd be busy, and I said no way Lily would miss my birthday. I wouldn't miss it for anything, Lily said, and meant it. Emma grabbed her hand. Come meet my friends, and then you have to meet my grandmother. She flew in from Boston, and she's very fancy, but also nice. And then we're doing cake, and then the bouncy castle tournament, and then, Emma, let Lily breathe, Adrian said, appearing at his daughter's side. He looked different today, more relaxed, jeans and a sweater instead of his usual button-down, hair slightly messy like Emma had been playing with it. He smiled when he saw Lily, and something warm spread through her chest. Hi, she said. Hi, I'm glad you made it. Me too. Sarah cleared her throat loudly. I'm Sarah, the best friend, the one who's been hearing about you for 2 months. Adrian shook her hand. Adrian, the friend, I guess. The friend with the bouncy castle, Sarah corrected. Important distinction. Emma tugged on Lily's hand. Come on, my grandmother really wants to meet you. Before Lily could protest, she was being dragged across the room toward an elegant woman in her 60s who radiated the kind of quiet wealth that didn't need announcing. Grandma, this is Lily, the one I told you about. The woman smiled warmly. I've heard quite a bit about you, dear. I'm Catherine Cole, Adrian's mother. It's nice to meet you, Lily managed. Catherine studied her with sharp but kind eyes. Emma tells me you're a hot chocolate expert. Emma's the expert. I'm just the assistant researcher. She also says you're Dad's girlfriend, Emma announced loudly. Emma, Adrian said from behind them. We talked about this. I know. You said it's complicated, but that's what adults say when they like each other but don't want to admit it. Catherine laughed. She's not wrong. Adrian looked like he wanted the floor to swallow him. Lily felt her face heat up. Why don't you show your grandmother the bouncy castle? Adrian suggested to Emma. She's seen it already. I showed her when she got here. Show her again. Emma rolled her eyes but allowed herself to be redirected. Catherine gave Lily a knowing smile before following her granddaughter toward the chaos. Adrian and Lily stood there in awkward silence. I'm sorry about that, Adrian said. It's fine. She's 6. She's 6 with no filter and too many opinions. I like her opinions. Even when they involve announcing to my mother that we're dating? Are we? The question came out before Lily could stop it. Adrian looked at her directly. I don't know. What do you want to be? I asked you first. That's not how this works. How does it work then? Before Adrian could answer, a woman Lily didn't recognize approached them with a knowing smile. Adrian, I didn't know you were seeing someone. How wonderful. Melissa. Hi, this is Lily. Melissa's eyes did a quick sweep of Lily's outfit, the same dress she'd worn to the Apex that first night, cleaned and pressed, but obviously not designer. Her smile tightened almost imperceptibly. How did you two meet? At a restaurant, Lily said. How lovely. And what do you do? There it was. The question that always felt like a trap. I work in consulting, Lily said, using the line that usually satisfied people. Which firm? Matthews Consulting. Melissa's expression suggested she'd never heard of it, which made sense since it was a small firm that barely existed outside Chicago. How nice. Well, I should go check on Brendan. He's probably destroying something. She disappeared into the crowd of children. She seemed pleasant, Lily said dryly. She's harmless, just nosy. She was judging my dress. Then she has terrible taste. You look beautiful. Lily glanced at him sharply, but Adrian's expression was sincere. You don't have to say things like that, she said quietly. What if I want to? Then you're setting yourself up for disappointment when you realize I'm not the person you think I am. Adrian stepped closer, lowering his voice so only she could hear. I know exactly who you are, Lily. You're the woman who works herself to exhaustion, trying to prove she doesn't need anyone. Who shows up for a 6-year-old's birthday party, even though you probably can't afford the present you brought. Who's terrified that if you let anyone in, they'll realize you're not worth the effort. Lily's chest felt tight. Stop. Why? Because I'm right? Because it's easier when you don't see all that. Too late. I already do. Emma appeared between them, oblivious to the tension. Lily, we're doing cake now. You have to sit next to me. She grabbed Lily's hand and pulled her toward a table where an elaborate purple cake sat waiting. Lily ended up squeezed between Emma and another little girl who immediately demanded to know if Lily was Emma's aunt. She's my dad's girlfriend, Emma announced to the entire table. Emma, Adrian said from across the table. What? You never said she wasn't. That's not how it works. So she is your girlfriend? Adrian looked at Lily helplessly. Lily looked back, equally lost. We're friends, Lily said finally. Friends who like each other, Emma clarified. Yes. Friends who want to be more than friends but are scared. Emma, am I wrong? The table had gone quiet. Every parent and child was watching them now. Lily took a breath. No, you're not wrong. Emma beamed triumphantly. See? I told you. Adrian was staring at Lily like she'd just said something in a language he didn't expect her to speak. Can we do cake now? One of the kids whined. The moment broke. Candles were lit, everyone sang, Emma made a wish and blew them out with the forceful efficiency of someone who'd been planning this moment for weeks. Cake was distributed. Children ate and ran and returned for more. Adults congregated near the wine table and pretended the party was under control. Lily found herself standing alone near the windows, watching Emma in the bouncy castle with her friends. Sarah appeared at her elbow with 2 glasses of wine. So that was subtle, Sarah said. Shut up. You just admitted in front of 20 witnesses that you want to be more than friends with a billionaire. I admitted I'm scared. There's a difference. Is there, though? Lily took a long drink of wine. I don't know what I'm doing. That's okay. Nobody does. You seem pretty confident in your life choices. That's because I've accepted that I'm going to mess everything up eventually, so I might as well mess up doing things I actually want to do. Sarah watched Emma bounce with wild abandon. That kid adores you, you know. I know. And her dad looks at you like you hung the moon. He doesn't. He does. I watched him watch you for the last hour. The man is completely gone for you. Lily's throat felt tight. That makes it worse. Why? Because when this falls apart, it won't just be me getting hurt. It'll be Emma too. And I can't do that to her. What makes you so sure it'll fall apart? Everything falls apart eventually. Sarah turned to face her directly. Listen to me. You're my best friend, and I love you, but you need to stop using your past as an excuse not to have a future. Ryan was an asshole who treated you badly. That doesn't mean every man will. Adrian is not Ryan. I know that. Do you? Because you're acting like someone who's just waiting for him to prove you right about not deserving good things. Before Lily could respond, Catherine appeared beside them. Lily, dear, do you have a moment? Sarah raised her eyebrows and drifted away toward the food table. Lily followed Catherine to a quieter corner of the room. I wanted to thank you, Catherine said. For what? For showing up. Not just today, but for the last 2 months. Emma talks about you constantly, and Adrian... She paused, choosing her words carefully. Adrian hasn't been himself since Sarah died. He's been going through the motions, taking care of Emma, running his business, but he hasn't been living. Not really. I'm not sure I understand. I saw the way he looked at you during that cake disaster. I haven't seen him look at anyone that way since his wife. That's significant. Lily's hands were shaking slightly. Mrs. Cole. Catherine, please. Catherine. I don't know if I can be what Adrian needs or what Emma needs. I'm barely keeping my own life together. Catherine smiled gently. My dear, none of us have our lives together. We're all just pretending and hoping no one notices. The question isn't whether you're perfect, it's whether you're willing to try. What if I fail? What if you succeed? The question sat between them, unanswerable. Catherine patted Lily's hand. Think about it. And in the meantime, try to enjoy the party. Emma specifically requested you participate in the Bouncy Castle tournament. The what? You'll see. The Bouncy Castle tournament turned out to be exactly what it sounded like. Children competing to see who could bounce the highest, with Adrian acting as judge and Emma declaring herself the referee. Lily got dragged in by force, ended up bouncing next to a 7-year-old who took the competition very seriously and laughed harder than she had in months. Adrian was watching from the sideline, and when their eyes met, something passed between them. Understanding, maybe. Or possibility. The party wound down around 4. Parents collected tired children. The bouncy castle was deflated and removed. Emma crashed on a couch, surrounded by presents she hadn't had time to open, and fell asleep with her face pressed into a cushion. That's my cue, Catherine said. I'll take her home and put her to bed. You two should talk. She gathered a sleeping Emma, no small feat, and headed out with Margaret's help, leaving Adrian and Lily alone in the nearly empty event space. That went well, Adrian said after a moment. Your daughter announced to everyone that we're dating. Technically, she said, you're my girlfriend. There's a distinction. Is there? I don't know anymore. Adrian ran a hand through his hair. What you said at the cake table. Did you mean it? Which part? The part about being scared. Lily looked at him, this man who'd somehow become important to her in the span of 3 months. Yes, I meant it. Scared of what? Everything. This, you. The fact that Emma already loves me, and if I mess this up, I'll break her heart. The fact that I'm falling for you, and I don't know if you're falling for me, or just lonely, or just being kind to someone who needed kindness. Adrian crossed the space between them in 3 steps. I'm terrified, he said quietly. I haven't let anyone close since Sarah died. Haven't wanted to. And then you showed up, frozen in the middle of a restaurant, looking like your world was ending, and something in me just broke open. That's not a love story. That's a trauma response. Maybe. Or maybe it's both. He took her hand carefully, like she might bolt. I don't have this figured out, Lily. I don't know what we are or where this is going, but I know that Thursdays are the only days I look forward to anymore. I know that Emma is happier than she's been in years. I know that when I'm with you, I feel like maybe I could be happy again too. I'm not a solution to your problems. I'm not asking you to be. I'm asking if you want to try this. Really try. Not just Thursday dinners and hot chocolate research. Actually try to build something. Lily's heart was hammering. I don't know how to do that. Neither do I. But we could learn together. It was too much, too fast, too impossible. It was also exactly what she wanted. I'm broke, Lily said. I work 3 jobs and I'm still barely surviving. I can't afford the kind of life you live. I can't fit into your world. I don't care about any of that. You say that now. I care about you. That's it. That's the only thing that matters. What about Emma? What happens when she gets attached and this doesn't work out? What happens if we don't try and we both spend the rest of our lives wondering, what if? Lily didn't have an answer for that. Adrian stepped closer. I'm not asking you to quit your jobs or move into my penthouse or become someone you're not. I'm asking if you'll have dinner with me on days that aren't Thursday. If you'll let me drive you home when it's late. If you'll stop pushing me away because you're scared I'll hurt you the way Ryan did. You might. I might. You might hurt me too. That's the risk we take when we care about people. I'm not good at taking risks. Neither am I. But I'm willing to try if you are. They stood there in the empty event space, surrounded by deflated balloons and half-empty cake plates, and the remnants of a 6-year-old's birthday party. Lily thought about the last 4 months. Thought about standing frozen while Ryan humiliated her. Thought about Adrian offering his arm without asking questions. Thought about Emma's notebook full of hot chocolate ratings and spelling words and the way she'd declared Lily her best friend with the absolute certainty of someone who'd never been taught to doubt herself. Thought about Catherine's question. What if you succeed? Okay, Lily said quietly. Adrian blinked. Okay, let's try. I don't know how. I'll probably mess it up, but okay? Adrian's smile was like sunrise. Yeah? Yeah. He pulled her into a hug that felt like coming home. Lily buried her face in his shoulder and let herself believe, just for a moment, that this could actually work. We should probably talk about logistics, Adrian said after a moment. Like what? Like the fact that you're working yourself to death and I have more money than I know what to do with. Lily pulled back. I'm not taking your money. I'm not offering charity. I'm offering to help. There's no difference. There is. Charity is giving money because you feel sorry for someone. Help is giving money because you care about them and want to make their life easier. Adrian took her hands. Let me help. Not because you need saving, but because watching you struggle when I could make it stop is killing me. I need to do this myself. Why? Because if I don't, I'll never know if I can. Adrian looked frustrated but didn't argue. Okay, what if we compromise? I'm listening. What if I hire you? Lily stared at him. What? I need someone to help with Emma. Not a nanny, Margaret's wonderful, but someone to handle scheduling, coordinate with her school, maybe help with homework a few nights a week. Someone Emma already trusts. That's just a fancy way of giving me money. It's a job. A real job that needs doing. Emma's schedule is chaos. I'm terrible at remembering parent-teacher conferences, and Margaret deserves help. He paused. And yes, it pays better than your current jobs. But it's legitimate work, Lily, not charity. I don't have childcare experience. You have Emma experience. That's what matters. Lily wanted to say no, wanted to maintain her independence and her pride and all the walls she'd built. But she was so tired. I need to think about it, she said finally. Okay. And I'm not quitting my other jobs right away. I need to know this is real before I burn those bridges. That's fair. They stood there holding hands in the empty event space while the winter sun set outside the windows. I should go, Lily said. Sarah's waiting. Can I drive you home? You keep asking that. Because I keep wanting to. Then yes, you can drive me home. They cleaned up the remaining party debris and headed out to Adrian's car. Sarah was waiting in the lobby, scrolling through her phone. Finally, I thought you two would take all night figuring out your feelings. We're giving her a ride, Adrian said. Sarah's eyes widened. Both of us? Unless you'd prefer to take the bus. No, I'm good with the fancy car. Lead the way. They drove through Chicago's evening streets, Sarah chattering about the party from the front seat, while Lily sat in back trying to process everything that had just happened. When they dropped Sarah off at her apartment, she gave Lily a meaningful look. Call me later. I want details. There are no details. There are absolutely details. Call me. Then it was just Lily and Adrian and the driver who pretended not to listen. Can we take the long way? Lily asked. Adrian told the driver to circle through downtown. They rode in comfortable silence, watching the city lights reflect off the lake. I meant what I said, Adrian said quietly. About trying this. About wanting to help. About all of it. I know. Does that scare you? Terrifies me. Good. I'd be worried if you weren't scared. Lily looked at him. Why? Because it means you understand what's at stake. Emma's heart, your heart, mine. He took her hand. This matters. We should be scared. Very reassuring? I'm not trying to reassure you. I'm trying to be honest. They pulled up to Lily's building. The driver put the car in park. Do you want to come up? Lily asked, then immediately regretted it. I mean, the apartment's a mess and the heat's broken and there's nothing to... I'd love to. They climbed the 4 flights to her studio. Lily unlocked the door and tried to see the space through Adrian's eyes, the tiny kitchen, the bed that doubled as a couch, the clothes draped over chairs because she didn't have a dresser. It's not much, she said. Adrian looked around carefully. It's yours. That makes it enough. He was lying. They both knew it, but Lily appreciated the effort. Want some tea? It's all I have. Tea sounds perfect. Lily put water on to boil while Adrian sat at her tiny table. They drank tea from mismatched mugs and talked about nothing important. Emma's presence, the bouncy castle, Catherine's thinly veiled approval. She likes you, Adrian said. Your mom? Yeah, she doesn't like most people. I'm honored. You should be. She's terrifying when she disapproves. They finished their tea. Adrian stood to leave and Lily walked him to the door. Thank you, she said, for today, for all of it. Thank you for coming, for trying, for not running when Emma announced our relationship status to the world. I considered it, but you stayed. I did. Adrian looked like he wanted to kiss her. Lily wanted him to kiss her, but neither of them moved. Thursday? Adrian said finally. Thursday, Lily agreed. He left, and Lily closed the door and leaned against it, her heart racing, her phone buzzed. Sarah. Well? Lily. We're trying. Sarah. Trying what? Lily. This. Us. Whatever this is. Sarah. I'm screaming. I'm literally screaming. Details. Now. Lily spent the next hour texting Sarah every detail of the conversation. When she finally put her phone down, it was past midnight. She lay in bed in her freezing apartment, wrapped in 3 blankets, and thought about the choice she'd just made. Thought about Adrian's offer of a job. Thought about letting someone help for once. Thought about Emma and Catherine and the life she could have if she was brave enough to reach for it. Her phone buzzed one more time. Adrian. Thank you for today. Emma's already planning next Thursday's hot chocolate location. Sleep well. Lily. You too. She set her phone down and closed her eyes. Tomorrow she'd wake up and go to her consulting job and figure out what came next. But tonight, she let herself believe that maybe, possibly, she'd made the right choice. That maybe she deserved good things. That maybe this story didn't have to end the way Ryan's had. 3 weeks later, Lily gave notice at 2 of her 3 jobs. She took Adrian's offer to help coordinate Emma's schedule, which turned out to be a real job that actually needed doing. The pay was enough to cover her bills and then some. Not charity, just help. 6 weeks after that, her landlord finally fixed the heat, then raised her rent anyway. Adrian offered his guest room again. This time Lily said yes, temporarily, until she found something affordable. Temporarily turned into 2 months. Emma declared it the best thing that had ever happened and immediately began campaigning for Lily to stay permanently. She has her own place, Adrian kept saying. But she's here all the time anyway, Emma countered. And she makes good pancakes. And she helps with my homework, and you're happier when she's here. Adrian couldn't argue with that last part. On a Thursday in late March, they went for hot chocolate at a new place Emma had discovered. The 3 of them sat in a booth, Emma between Lily and Adrian, and discussed the merits of dark chocolate versus milk chocolate. This is definitely top 5, Emma announced, checking her spreadsheet. Top 5 out of how many? Lily asked. 17. We've been very thorough. Very thorough, Adrian agreed. Emma looked between them with the satisfaction of someone whose plan was coming together perfectly. So, when are you 2 getting married? Adrian choked on his hot chocolate. Lily froze with her cup halfway to her mouth. Emma, Adrian managed. What? You're together, right? Yes, but... And you love each other, right? That's not... And marriage is what people do when they love each other and want to stay together forever, right? Adrian looked at Lily helplessly. Lily looked back, equally lost. Then she started laughing. She couldn't help it. The whole situation was so absurd. This precocious 6-year-old calmly discussing marriage over hot chocolate like it was a business proposal. Adrian started laughing too. Emma watched them both with confusion. What's funny? You are, Lily said, pulling her into a hug. You're very funny and very smart and very good at asking questions we don't have answers for. So you're not getting married? Not today, Adrian said. But someday. Adrian met Lily's eyes across the table. Something passed between them. Understanding, hope, possibility. Maybe someday, Lily said quietly. Emma beamed. Good! I want to be a flower girl, and I want to help pick the cake. And can we have it at the Apex because that's where you met? We're not planning a wedding right now, Emma, Adrian said. But when you do, can I help? When we do, Lily said, surprising herself, you can absolutely help. Adrian's expression softened. Emma bounced in her seat with excitement. They finished their hot chocolate and headed back out into Chicago's early spring evening. The city was coming alive again after the long winter, people walking without hunched shoulders, trees showing the first hints of green, the air smelling like possibility instead of snow. Lily walked between Adrian and Emma, holding both their hands, and thought about how much had changed in 6 months. She'd gone from frozen in a restaurant, terrified of her ex-fiancé, to this, walking through Chicago with a man who saw her clearly and loved her anyway, and a little girl who'd decided they were family. It wasn't perfect. Lily still struggled with accepting help. Adrian still worked too much. Emma still asked inappropriate questions at inappropriate times. But it was real. And real, Lily had learned, was better than perfect any day. Same time next Thursday? Emma asked as they reached Adrian's car. Same time next Thursday, Lily confirmed. Good. I found 3 new places we need to investigate. Of course you did. They drove home, and it was home now, all 3 of them together in Adrian's penthouse that had slowly become theirs. Emma fell asleep in the back seat. Adrian carried her up while Lily followed with Emma's backpack and the remains of their hot chocolate adventure. Later, after Emma was in bed and the apartment was quiet, Adrian found Lily standing at the windows overlooking the city. You okay? He asked. Yeah, just thinking. About? About how 6 months ago I thought my life was over, and now, she gestured at the apartment, at the city, at everything that had changed. Now I don't even recognize that person anymore. Adrian wrapped his arms around her from behind. Is that good or bad? Good. Scary. Both. That sounds about right. They stood there watching Chicago sparkle below them. I love you, Lily said. She'd said it before, but it still felt new. Still felt like something worth saying. I love you too, Adrian replied. Down the hall, Emma called out in her sleep. They both smiled. I should check on her, Lily said. We should check on her, Adrian corrected. They walked down the hall together, these 2 broken people who'd somehow found each other in a rooftop restaurant on the worst night of Lily's life. Emma was fine, just shifting in her sleep, surrounded by the stuffed animals and books and evidence of a happy childhood. Lily and Adrian stood in the doorway watching her breathe. Thank you, Lily whispered. For what? For seeing me that night, for not walking past, for giving me a reason to believe good things could still happen. Adrian pulled her close. You did the same for me. They went to bed in their shared room and their shared life, and Lily fell asleep thinking about hot chocolate and Thursdays and the impossibility of hope. Somewhere in Chicago, Ryan Holloway was probably living his life, completely unaware that the girl he'd thrown away had become someone he'd never recognize. And honestly, Lily didn't care. She'd stopped looking backward months ago. She was too busy looking forward to everything that came next.